say let's go. Nigga, let's go. To a motherfucking place that you ain't never been to, but keep it on the low. Where you can absolutely, positively kick it on the side of the stove. Sipping on that 4-0. Nigga, fuck the 5-0 with your pit bull. Don't let them roam around, though. On the pack of the loud, go ahead, you can blow. Ain't a motherfucking noose on the aisle. Already been burnt on the pile. You ain't never ever gotta worry with your motherfucker would put the gun to the back of the head of a child. Go wild. Welcome to the land of the colored. All we do is win, never suffer. Ain't no cops in the cover. Where every kid on the block never had a clock. And all families got a father and a mother, but we all living good. Nigga ain't got good. He delivered us cause he could. But they couldn't bring crack to the hood cause it ain't no hood. Tyrone and Keisha doing pretty damn good. All the kids wearing hoodies. Coming from the back of the 7-Eleven with a pack full of goodies. Skittles with a can of Arizona on deck. From a black tone store cause we mob it like that. All black bins cause we got it like that. All black rims cause we got it like that. And we ain't gotta worry about nobody shooting us down cause we don't look suspicious. In no neighborhood watch cause we watch the kids. My mama, your mama, we all related. I'm so elated. Never in a million years would have thought a world like this existed.
Color, alley, nigga, color, alley, bitch, color, alley, nigga, color, alley, bitch, color, alley, nigga, color, alley, bitch, holla, nigga, you color, alley, bitch, color, alley, nigga, color, alley, bitch, color, alley, nigga, color, alley, bitch, color, alley, nigga, color, alley, bitch, holla, my nigga, you color, alley, bitch.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. I want to thank Red Crane and Auntie C for being here with me. I know Cuz be dropping out. He still dropping out, man. He killing me. Cuz. He killing me. But this bill is going to be about its question is, does migration matter? Now, oftentimes, our family, right, we've definitely heard of the migration and the war of incoming people. But now we have the facts. We know who they are, what groups they broke up into, and all of this good stuff, right? It's supposed to have been a collective effort, right? But I like Mayweather. You get me? I like timing, right? And the timing has to be right. So for today, what better time? It's gonna be fairly short. I'm gonna try to keep it short, but we're gonna do some reading from the Lenape migration story from their website. We'll go over it from their text. We're gonna talk about who the Tallegewi are, right? Or the Tallegewi, the Algic, right? So many different ways to say it, right? There are so many different peoples, so many different phenotypes, all of this different stuff. But this culture that was in the East was a culture that is rarely spoken about because it not only because it's pre-Columbian, but the facts of the matter are actually being ignored. So please share this video for me. That way we can get this out. This will be one of the last major drops. If you have someone in your phone that you think this would be good for, you can find it on YouTube. I'm going to drop the YouTube link in the private so you all can actually share it to your family members or someone who may enjoy it. One moment. Let me see if I can find this and this out. See. Where is this link? Okay. So it may be via Face, but I'm going to drop it here in the private chat. Okay, so can everyone hear me? Y'all can free your mic if y'all can hear me.
Yeah,
Can y'all
I
hear me?
got you. I can hear you.
All right, we
Yeah, I can
good.
hear you.
Okay, perfect. So
Something happened.
Okay, I probably end up probably self-muted. So the goals
Okay.
are to identify the origins of the Lenape, recognizing their settlements, and basically want to explain the Mississippian culture, how that was ushered in, different things like that. What I also want to do before we get started is I want to go over one thing, and that's the copyright. So often my voice and often my work is used on other people's page. I just want to post this copyright notice. They can read it for themselves, right? My work is not to be used on your page without contacting me beforehand. It's not for you to use it and argue with anyone. It's not for you to use it and get over on anyone. It's not for you to use it and even teach anyone. Come ask me to use my work, do it properly. I definitely would thank you for that. And there go the thunder and last Quake Cougar. There go the thunder and lightning. So this picture that we all are looking at here today is the probable migration route of the Delaware Indians. And this comes out their book, which is called the Walla Unum. Now, the Walla Unum, this was it's said to have been writings or hieroglyphic writings on tree bark. These texts were carried over and eventually translated by a European into English. And it said that it gives their origin, their creation, their migration stories, and it explains the different branch offs. So at point one, you have them, you have their migration that says stretches, reaches the Bering Strait. This second break off that you have here is the migration party splitting up. So you have some who will say, well, the Lenape come from South America. We've heard this before, but these are people that eventually spread down there on their migration into the land. You'll notice that they migrated into what we consider the Southeast, right? And even the Ohio Valley. But notice that the true Southeast is considered Shawnee. Now, respectfully, Shawnee is direction, right? Shawanook. So Shawanook is direction, the South, right? Now, I properly translated it here because it's my page. I want to show you how to decipher this information. Now, on this site about the Delaware Lenape, I'm going to see if I could zoom this in for you all. Bear with me one moment because it is fairly small. Let me see if I can zoom this in for you. They're not going to let me zoom it in. So if you can zoom in on your screen, zoom in, and you'll be able to read it. However, this story is from their website, and is speaking on a woman named Nicole Alligood. And she says that her mother was telling her story or their story as the Lenape, and said that they had came to a place in the North Pole where the ocean was all frozen. And they had to go that way. This is the quote. So these Delaware did have plenty to eat on, but they ran out of food right in the middle. Now, eventually, what she says is that this story is in the Walla Uum. It then goes and says that the red score is our accounting. So though some Europeans may consider the Walla to be a hoax, though some may consider it not to be factual, this nation itself is saying that it recounts their story. Now, in the recounting of their story, it says that it records where they come from and that they actually come from the Bering Straits. It says that they crossed the Bering Straits and that the Lenni Lenape are known as the grandfathers of the northeastern, the tribes of the inhabitants of the northeastern part of the United States. Now, one thing about this website that it explains also is they named three clans. They named Wolf, Turkey, and Turtle. What's important is on their migration, there were other clans or other branches. However, these are the three that are, that are within the Delaware Lenape. So in their book, this is book 3, what they call book 3, verse 1. It says, after the flood, the Delaware turtle men were crowded together. They lived well and stayed with the turtle. Now, if we look at the comment, it says the turtle plays a prominent part in the religious ideology of all the Eastern Algonquian speakers. Now, one thing about Algonquian, one has to understand that Algonquian and Algonquin are two branches of a language that is older than that. So there may be a misconception on, well, this doesn't have that, or that doesn't have this, or this took from that, when in reality, they all come from a mother language called Algic. And if you're taking notes, that's Algic, that's Algic. Algic is the language that became Algonquian and then became Algonquin. Now, what it's talking about, or Frank Speck, right? It's explaining, that the turtle is also revered in China. And them explaining their turtle island, we'll see where the old or the original turtle island was. So the turtle and the dragon. In China, the turtle and the dragon is often combined, right? And this is their flying serpent. So the flying serpent is the dragon. It's air and fire. The turtle is water and earth. Together, this is their water serpent, their flying serpent, and this is all four. What do you mean? Earth and fire, air, right? This is the dragon. The water and the earth is the turtle. The turtle being on its mother's back is the idea that they got during their flood. And this is how they eventually explained it in their language, right? Not only in their language, but they explained this in their creation and migration story. Now, this is verse 2 of book 3. It says the water froze. It says the water froze over where they stayed. Snow came, wind blew, it was so cold. So they're talking about them traveling in the north, or that what they were considering the North Pole area, looking for what they considered then Snake Island. So they were crossing the Bering Strait. This text, the Walla you can actually find, I'll drop it in here. It explains perfectly that certain people waited until the water froze over in order to cross. So it wasn't as if it was always, it was always one way. They didn't have the canoes, because in their story, they also speak on being taught how to make canoes, certain group. But the group that didn't have the canoes actually had to wait till the winter to cross over. And they also have hieroglyphs in here, or what they pictographs. You're not going to call them hieroglyphs, but pictographs to describe this, right? So it says, there were the land slopes north, and at the time when the wind was blowing and the weather was getting cold, they secured many big deer and pieces of buffalo meat. So this is an attachment to their website that we just read. What did it say? They had an abundance of food. Eventually, they ran out. But this is an attachment to their personal website. Now, here what it says is that in the comment, so it's talking about their migration, and it's talking about the flow. So it's talking about the river. It says the Yukon flows across Alaska in a southwesterly direction to drain into the Bering Sea. So this is them coming across the Bering Strait, which we saw on their map. So in their original point in their map, they were crossing the Bering Strait. But not only did they cross the Bering Strait, but they came with things, with pieces of their culture, ancient culture, from present day Asia, right? Like the dragon, so the flying serpent, or the snake, because sometimes in the water that snake was considered evil, and the turtle. So these are two things that they brought over here, which you should keep in mind. I won't give you everything because I need you to read the book, because they tell you that they left the old Turtle Island in search of Snake Island. And the thing about Snake Island, and I'm gonna make sure you timestamp this. I'm gonna wait 1616. Snake Island, in reference to the Lenape when they were using it, was speaking on a people that was the enemy. So it wasn't speaking on just in reverence to like, oh, there are snakes over there. They were speaking on people that they considered the enemy. Because also within their text, you'll see that the Ottawa are also considered to be the snake people. The Ojibwe are also sometimes considered to be a snake people to them, which meant enemy. Now, ask those people, do they have a snake clan? The answer may be no. So the idea of the snake came from just that, right? Or their idea. One moment. Water. So leaving the original Turtle Island. And this is verse 5, chapter, or what they say, book 3, right? Verse 5. The strongest, the gentlest, and the most religious did this. They were the hunters. Now, the thing about proper translations is you actually get to find out what is being understood. What they mean by religious is someone that was a medicine man, someone that they, or the English, right, would consider to be a shaman. So they were speaking on their shamans who were hunter warriors, right? And to the north, the east, the south, the west, these hunters had traveled. When you see the word south, I want you to note that again, it appears as Shaniwi, right? Or Shawenok. This is south. So the people of the south eventually became Shawnee by word of mouth, and the Algic, right? Originated in Algic. Same with the Wokpa, right? Or Wokpani or Wopani, right? It's not, it appears as that. But what you're looking at is oh, right? Okpan. So eventually we'll get into the different translations or transliterations of these words, right? All it says, all the other hearts in the land were troubled. Everyone said to the pipe bearer, let us depart. So what this is explaining is from their flood, they looked to their leader and said, hey, we have to leave. Things aren't good. And these people went in all these different directions. But it says to the snakes in the east. Now, the snakes in the east eventually, again, will be seen as being an idea, right? They're explaining a group of people. This people, you can't say, well, we are the snakes, because what that mean is you're their enemy, right? Based in their terminology. So it's kind of like calling yourself nigga, right? You know what I'm trying to say? In that sense. And with this being said, what you will notice is the suffix as I explained, it may appear as ink, but it's it is locative. So it's like a determinative, letting you know that this isn't just a snake. This is the place of these snakes, right? The place of the enemies, the inhabitants, place of the enemies. Now, what it explains is that they were moving, they made it to the snake land, but making it to these shores, they end up dispersing. So when they dispersed, it says that all came from Snow Mountains and the forest country. The West Delaware came out of humor, for they preferred the old Turtle Island. So the old Turtle Island is the one they migrated from. The new Turtle Island is the one that they've migrated to which would be North America today. Off of camera, I will explain what we considered it in the east, to the west, to the mid, to the south. It wasn't the turtle that was used. It wasn't the snake that was used. There's a chief that's in this chat whose families and different branches of those families were used to define this land, which will explain many or some of the earthworks, right? So travels and battles. I do have a question. Are there any questions from the panel? Anything that you all would want me to go back on before I continue?
Nah, I'm good. You know, I'm taking notes.
Okay, perfect. That mean we could get through this and actually build. I guess everybody listening. So let's see. So the war from the view of the Lenape. And this is in book 4, verse 5. This is how you actually Chi, how you doing? This is in book 4, verse 50, excuse me. Now, we're going into who are the Tallegewi. And the reason that we're going into that is because for so long we've had these stories, right? Documented, undocumented. For so long we've been putting this together that when we defend it, we have to defend it all. So months ago, and this has to be explained, months ago, I explained that Wale was not only, though it means the edge, when you look at the map from the indigenous point of view or indigenous people's perspective in this land, anything east of the Mississippi was considered the edge. So when I say all of this was considered Wale, just in different dialects, many had to assert their tribal stories. That is not your tribal story. So listen, and listen very carefully. As we know who you are, you know who we are. So when the change up comes, make sure that you give Auntie C her credit. Make sure that you give Mama Bird her credit. Make sure that you give all of these elders, Eagle Joe, make sure you give these people their credit for telling this story, right? So it says, when Lean Two Man was chief, the Tallegewi were in the possession of the East. Now, what they're using, right, to describe these people is, or what you will notice is, it's explaining a foreign land. They're from the West. Now, it says here, it says foreign pine, right, in reference to a non-Delaware tribe with a hint of pine clad habitat, excuse me, perhaps Yuchi. So this was a question in the 1800s. Could these people that were the Tallegewi be the Yuchi? And we know that the Yuchi were sent, that group, that people that were considered Yuchi were sent to the northern parts of the land. The original Zoya were in the southeast. Now, this group of Yuchi that were sent to Ohio or that particular area, they clashed with the Lenape coming in. Those that stayed became multiple groups of people that you know by present day names. Your Westo, your Yuchi, your Cherokee, your Tisligi. So it's like in same thing, but by different names, right? Even the Gitawa are Lenape men that had so-called Yuchi women. Now, it explains to us that they have a question. Who are the Taligi? Right? Who are the Tallegewi, right? And we're going to go explore this. we have to explore this according to their what they, their text. Now, it says that the Taligi, right, or the Taligas, were the ancestors of the modern Cherokee. That many of the typical earthworks of Ohio and West Virginia owe their origins to these latter people. One thing we have to clear is the mound builders in that land are what became the Cherokee. It wasn't the Cherokee, the modern day Cherokee, right, that were building these earthworks. There are some Cherokee that will say, well, it was told to us that the giants were doing evil things, so we had to put them down. But the people that considered those people to be giants obviously had to be smaller than them. This was the Lenape that became, right? Or they had descendants that became known as Cherokee, right? Who were descendants of people that were killing the actual or putting down the actual giants. Now, you also have those giants that were doing evil things, like eating all your food, probing your sister. But this is pseudo, right? But this is literally what the Lenape were hearing from these people. If you study their text, right, they'll tell you that they were so scared. There were some of them so scared to cross the east because of how tall the people were, from the palest to the darkest, from no hair to the straightest hair to the kinkiest hair to the nappiest hair, that they went back to Snow Mountain. These became known as the Blackfoot. And it also says that if their chronology is correct, that they believe that the Lenape didn't come into the Ohio Valley until 1000 AD or AD 1000. This is literally around the time that you have the beginning of that Mississippian era, or that ushering into the Mississippian era, right? And when you get into that Mississippian era, what you will notice is there are mounds that greatly predate the Mississippian era. So what we're going to go over next is the Tallegewi by way of books. I am going to do a 1-minute break. That way I could breathe, clear my throat, drink some water. So please click this link on YouTube and share it out while we do go on this quick break. Thank you. right. I'm back. I'm back for part two. So part two is going to be the Tallegewi by way of books. Fairly simple. These books that you can find this reference is actually from the Yuchi Indians' history before removal. So one moment, let me back out of this. Perfect. There we go. So in reference to the Tallegewi, right? You find Hogalugi in Florida, Georgia, other places. So you have Carolina, Tennessee, all of this. Now, what you find on the map in 1697, they tell you often that, oh, the Tallegewi, they moved down to the south, but you also find them as Toguales, right? Or Tohokichi, which is the same as Ogeechee. So these terms, right, that were eventually used by the Lenape became a part of a lot of people's different language. What was beautiful is, right, when the Mississippian culture clashed and all these people came together for the after, right, for a good reason, those that did, um, they eventually found out that this is the name the people were calling themselves. They were calling themselves Iguales or Igua, yeah, Ukala, right? In so many different dialects. Now you also find them in maps on a map as Kakikwi, which is you also find Kwekuka in South Carolina or in Carolina today as a town. Now it says when Strong Friend was chief, he wanted to go to the eastern country. When some infiltrated into the east, where the Tallegewi were, some were killed. Now, what they consider to be treachery is not so much treachery. See, the Lenape asked for a place to stay. They were granted a place to stay. In them being granted a place to stay, they hid and lied. They conceived, they deceived about their numbers. And they went to flooding into people's land, but not also only were they flooding into these lands, there were groups that were telling these people, hey, our deity promised us this land. We were promised the land in the east. Our God, in English, right? This is what it was saying. Our God said that that is for us. So what happened is that the Tallegewi went after those Lenape. This same thing happened in the southeast around the same time when different Muskogee were coming out of Mexico at the fall of their nations. When they crossed over, they were given some land, but then they went and got everybody. You went and got three sides of your family to come settle in somebody's town, and you outnumber them in their town. You don't think that these people know what you're about to do? You do it today. They know what was going on. Invasion. Now, this is the Ohio. This is the Ohio River Valley. This is the Namisi Sipu or the Nisi Sipu, right? The big river. Some say Fish River, but the big river. And this river, they had to cross and cross in order to get where they needed, where they say they needed to go. And when they crossed these rivers, the indigenous peoples of these lands, of these particular territories, were were wiped out. Many of them fled south to the more ancient towns. And right-minded in the nation all said, let us despoil, let us destroy. War. X, right? War. So there, and it says in their way, right? Because it says they basically view it as treachery. But the nation didn't view it or doesn't view it as treachery when you lied about your numbers and all you have been doing this whole time is conquering people. You gonna get over here and be nice? Of course not. And look what they were doing continuously, right? And it says that the Iroquois, one moment. So the Iroquois. Now the Iroquois, their northern friends, then arrived, and all was explained to them. So they were explaining to the Iroquois, like, hey, remember we met at Yellowstone, because they had a meeting at Yellowstone where they both decided, along with the Muskogee Creeks, or with the people that we consider Creek, right? Or the Muskogee, the Moospa, that they would raid the East looking for a better place to live. This is their story. So together, as a joint, as a collective effort, these are the people that were coming into the East with war. Now, it says, when one who dwells in half daylight was chief, they were already east of the Taliga land. So they had already made it through that Ohio Valley region and then crossed over more, because the Tallegewi were forced into the mountains. This is how the Cherokee have the story about them coming up out of the mountains, because they were forced to those mountains. One moment. Okay, so with that being said, what we have there is that this is the beginning of the Mississippian era, right? We now have the word Mississippi. We now have a date. So, and this is talk. We're going to talk about the Edge people. So, the Edge people in the north were scattered amongst the south, which we have on these different maps, and we find different remnants of these groups. I mean, all of these southern present-day states. The Wale were a southern group of the Hogolugi. This is facts. Everything was considered to be Yupa'a. Those that were conquered by the Lenape were slowly taken away from the nation. So the nation got smaller and smaller. But what you will notice is that this culture, which we're going to prove, stretched so far north that no one, no one who wasn't saying this originally can tell this story, right? So we have it here, meaning the Great River, the Big River, um, something massive, an idea, right? All right, you back. Hold on. All right, all right, all right. I'm back. This my neighbor. He got that Asian blood in him. He don't like to hear it. Give me one moment. All right, we had to make him move that. So yeah, so we're at the Mississippian era, and in the Mississippian period, excuse me, I wanted to put these both together. In the Mississippian period, what you all would notice is this, and this is very clear cut. Um, what they consider the Mississippian period is based off Lenape terminology. So everything that they found, they you have to attribute to that people that were immigrants, right? You have to attribute that to the people that migrated across the Bering Strait. And the reason they have to give it to the people or try to attribute it to the people that migrated here is because the people that are originally here don't look like them, and they can't genetically tie themselves into these ancient people without tying themselves into the Asians. So when it comes to the work, the Mississippian period and the true Mississippian period are two completely different things. Now, this Mississippian period that we have is from 1000 AD to about 1550, and this is when they consider like the mission system, right? Now, this is the craziest part about it. Notice that the Lenape didn't get into the Ohio Valley in their text that they agree with until this same time. So this literally means that, and what we see, you can find this in almost anywhere, is the Mississippians were at war with the people that were considered the mound builders. The Mississippian mounds, they said, well, it was dominated by the Mississippians. Those people did nothing but built on top of older structures or destroyed structures like they did in Kolamoki, and then built their own. This is why you find similarities between Cahokia and places like the Aslan uh, National Park. So all of these cultures that they're considering Mississippian aren't Mississippian at all. They're Wale, they're Ikwaa, they're right, Talegwi, Taliga. And to classify them as Mississippian before this time, right, is doing damage. To classify all of this as Mississippian has also exposed a lot of people for claiming chiefdoms that they don't belong to, or claiming Mississippian chiefdoms based on this date here, while really belonging to this era. Kusa, migrants into the east. Kushida, migrants into the east. The Lenape and all of the groups. The Mingwe, the Iroquois, all of the groups. The Yama, all of the groups. The Timucua. And the great thing I like about them is they admit, oh yeah, we from South America. We came up here and met y'all, but we parlayed. We ain't had no wars. We lived it up, parlayed. We had fun. We fought wars with each other against everybody else. We were family, but we were from down there. Y'all were already here. But now that our elders have finally are on camera, are finally coming out and saying, hey, this is our story. We were here, and let me explain it this way, right? What that did was bring people out of the woodworks. That got people to begin becoming who they were the first time, right? The pretender, because you know that's not you. But instead of allowing people to tell their own story, what you will do is you'll say, well, it gotta be me because we were there in the 1500s. Were you there in the 1200s? Are you the same people that came from the Caribs? Or are you the people that Or are you the people that came from the Yucatan, right? Or what we consider Yucatan, right? Are you those that came on the white path? So many migrations into this land, so many people claiming to be people that they are not, but we have to put it in its proper perspective. Here is the book Deerskins and Duffels. What it explains is this, right? It's talking about the Mississippian era. And it says that the Muskogee speaking immigrants, listen to what it calls them, immigrants, began drifting into the southeast during the late Mississippian period, around AD 1200. So 200 years after this started, there's a given date, right? And it makes sense because the Yuchi stamped this by saying that when all of them were together, they became brothers in the pipe, the people of one fire. This is where the idea comes from. So if your tribe says we are people of one fire, they were up there doing green corn with the Lenape and with the Yuchi that were with the Zoya that were removed and became Yuchi, with the Muspa who left and became Muskugili, right? With the people from the east who were called Siouan. That's not what they were, but okay, this is what they want to do, right? They get them. Then you have the Dakota. Then you have the Cherokee coming out of the mountains around the 1300s, about 300 years after their war with the Lenape. So there's a build to this. There's a reason Wale did not celebrate green corn. Every time you seen it, it was in English considered the harvest because corn wasn't healthy to Wale. However, it was something that we picked up in the 1500s as a daily food because we were in the mission system, or those who weren't in the mission system, like right, were more healthier, were more robust. But then we were banned from eating from the water, so then these people became more anemic, which was on the Wale diet video. Now this is a snippet, but it says Yuchi oral traditions relate that when the Yuchi first arrived in the southeast, only the Lenape were already here, and we still call the Lenape grandfather people. This is a clear separation of the Zoya that were in the southeast that say they originate there, and the Yuchi who will tell you, well, we don't know where we come from. What? We don't know. We just popped up in Tennessee. You're a damn lie. You were kicked out, and you moved, and you were subjugated or a subject of the Lenape. This is what happened, right? It says, after a time, there came the Siouan people, followed then by the Shawnee. But we seen on their map that Shawnee, Shawnee, is just means south or southerner, someone from the south, right? Then you have the Creeks that came in many waves because you have the Suki, which became the Muskogee, right? You have the Muspa, which was Chickasaw, Coweta, Coshita, right? And Kushida and Kusada mixed with the Alabama and became the Alabama Kusada. But these people warred so much that all of these people made it to the East Coast. It just so happened that they never conquered Yupa. They never conquered the true Southeast. So what did they do? They mingled in. They mingled and they mixed in. But by way of word. So the Wale took on the language of Yama because Yama, a timestamp, write down this timestamp. Y'all gonna need this. Yama is a Pidgin language, which is mixed and mashed of Yama, which is Itza, or really Ichate, Hichiti, right? It's really Hichiti, Southern Hichiti, mixed with Alabama, mixed with Algonquian, which again, Algonquian and Algonquin are branches of the Algic language. So this is a true bill. You're starting to formulate everyone that was into this, because I want you to remember These same people came down and raided Wale territory in the 1600s. All of these people that were here, which we can further prove, which we have proven on video already. So we're almost done. Swift Creek culture. Let's talk about Swift Creek culture. Now, the date that they give Swift Creek culture is between 100 to 800 CE or AD, right? And that's because it eventually broke off and expanded. However, they're naming it off of a creek in Georgia when there has been proof, and this mound is in Florida. This is one of the oldest mounds in Florida. Where we were mound, our ancestors were mound builders. They canoes, right? The paddles, carved paddles, the stamped pottery, stone tools, glass pottery, because heat over here we had to heat the glass. Over there, they had the volcanoes. The Muskogee come out of that glass fire, that frozen fire, right? These are some stamps that you will find on Swift Creek pottery that are very similar to our cousins' work in the Caribs and our cousins' work in South America. Because again, once there was a point of unification, right? As the Egyptians call it, Zep Tepi, right? The first time. That point of unification was something amazing. But what happens is when outsiders get into it, it can cause the Negroes to start claiming things that aren't theirs because of migration. Let everyone know who that belonged to and just go back home. Or if you let everyone know who that belonged to and you're given a place to live, will you have the attitude that your ancestors had? Take, 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 take. Right? So these are just some beautiful symbols, elaborate, aren't they? They're beautiful. They're beautiful. And again, like these mounds that were being built were before the Mississippian era. So to attribute mound building to the Mississippians or the Olmec is fairly crazy. Now, here are some let me brighten this because it dropped. I need to go get that laptop. But here is some pottery, some things that have been found, right? Or different things that have been found in the Southeast. Now, you have the Swift Creek culture encompassing Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina. But if you read the bottom of this page, dealing with the woodland culture, it says that these practices and artifacts have been found as far north as Tennessee and west as eastern Louisiana. So Swift Creek didn't just deal with Swift Creek, but this culture encompassed all of the East, right? Um, the houses that were built, about these circle homes, circle towns, kind of looking like Yuchi towns, what they considered Yuchi, right? Those people brought that north with them from the Southeast. If you notice, we do have cousins that's across the Great Pond that still builds their houses in circles and still fortifies their town in a circle. So these are things that, again, that come together with this culture before the Mississippian period or before Europeans or before the Lenape get their hands on the East. There was a beautiful culture that was already fluctuating, right? This is a piece of pottery. This is one of the stamp potteries. It was made by a woman. Actually, what you will know is that these stamps, right? These stamps were kind of like hieroglyphs. The women would do the same thing that were done in Egypt, China, everywhere across the world. These things were wet. They were right. And you stamped them. They weren't just carving them out and drawing them. This was something that I can't say wasn't a task, right? But the science behind it, right? Even being able to create glass out of sand, or charcoal pottery, right? Clay pottery, limestone pottery, and all of these things, they were different, right? One may last longer, one may be more durable. All of this different stuff was just a part of the culture, right? Cahokia Mounds. This is where the fight was fought. Um, the reason it was again flourishing between the time periods that I have written here is because this was right after war. So when all of these people started to migrate to this cultural center, it became greater than what uh would have been imagined right after the war, being that everything was so brutal. I don't know who would have imagined it turned into almost a palace, right? Kolamoki Mounds, this is a personal picture. Kolamoki Mounds is also pre-Columbian. And the thing about Kolamoki Mounds is there they explain Swift Creek culture, they explain Depth Fort culture, which here I'm not going to go over Depth Fort culture, but Depth Fort culture is what grew into what is known as Swift Creek. One moment. Let me see this. Let me see. All right, you back. Let me see. Peace. So, next, Okmulgee mounds. These mounds also are, these mounds too are pre-Mississippian. And one thing I want to read here, wait, that's the end. I would have to back out and start it over. One moment, because I literally just added another piece. Um, I just added another piece to this. Give me one moment. Let me see. There's a picture at Okmulgee Mounds that that's definitely the dagger. I can pull this up. One moment. Here's the dagger, and this is what I mean by the Mississippian. Oh, the Mississippian. I'm a Mississippian. The Mississippian era. Blah 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 blah. Nobody want to hear that shit. Let's talk about the facts of the matter, right? So it's talking about the Woodland people. Check the dates. Matter of fact, let me pull this up. Let me share this again because it's not sharing. One moment. Let me share this. Let me share this because this is very important. And again, I know that's gonna stop being used very, very soon. Let me pull this up. It's taking this poor time. There we go. Let's see. It still didn't pull up on the screen for y'all. It's moving a tad bit slow. Give me one moment. Let's see. Okay, so if you could zoom in on your phone, this is talking about the woodland culture. So it's talking about them cultivating squash and all of this good stuff. It's talking about their villages, all of this goodness. But the last sentence is what's more important. Now, these people, speaking on the woodland people, were displaced by the Mississippians, but continued to live in the area. So when the guy Lamar Peterson or Perryman says the Coosa have been in Okmulgee for 17,000 years, he's a lie. He's a damn lie. Because they were the people that conquered the people of that land. And that land was originally given to the Yamasi. I dare anyone to argue that. You have two Wale chiefs on here, and you have two clan mothers. I dare you to argue that. That land was given to the Yamasi that came out of Mexico. Those that traveled in the water were already in Florida. They weren't called Yamasi. They were cousins to them, but they were something different. So the land that they took was a part of, right, or given to the Yamasi. And those people stayed there. But then that land was raided again by the Westo, and those group of people were pushed down into the coastal lands. LSU Mound. Now, LSU Mound, these are two crematorial mounds, excuse me. Now, in these mounds, what they have, what it says they're believed to have been ceremonial, right? A communal mound. So, right, communal. So, with these on this campus, they also had so-called temple mounds. ceremonial mounds. It's so many different, right? Effigies, things like that. And these mounds date back to over 6,000 years ago. So how could one attribute, like the Yuchi, they will tell you that, hey, mound building started with the Olmec. How could, and these are the Yuchi. Remember, we consider them different from the Zoya. So how could the Olmec build something that's at least
Okay.
4,000 years older than them? But this is the story being taught in Oklahoma, that, oh, mound building started with the Olmec. This is silly. Excuse me, you please mute. Thank you. This is silly. When we have
This is
things,
the last time after you let me see the
Auntie,
phone.
please. We have a culture that is older than what they consider to be right, what they consider to be Mississippian. So whose culture is it really? Whose culture are we dealing with uh when we are looking at these pre uh these pre Mississippian mounds? Because we know that the people that are the Mississippians came in conquering. We know that according to their Bible, right? That's what they call it, their book, their only goal, let me go back, their only goal was to destroy. Not our goal, but their goal was to come or leave what they say is what? The old Snake Island, and destroy, to spoil it. Their only goal was to get rid of the original inhabitants. So now let's ask this question. How could people or tribes consider the Lenape to be the grandma or grandfather tribe when, or the, excuse me, the First Nation, because they call themselves First Nations? How could they consider themselves to be First Nations when they admit that the Tallegewi, the Ikwa'a, the Ogologi, the Ogeechee, the Tahlequah were in possession of the East? So there's an admission. Yeah, we got these people already there. So why aren't these people recognized? Why don't these people still have their original nation, which encompassed coast to edge to edge? The reason being is because when treaties are signed, these tribes make the government, or the governments that are the governments in place, the trustees of the land. Peace, PND, what's going on, family? So when the government becomes the trustee of the land, then what? Because they'll tell you, or they may say, well, while they were in possession, and who were the Tallegewi? These were the ancestors of the Yuchi, the Cherokee, all of these people, right? You can find them all across these maps, from Virginia to Florida, North Carolina, all the way to Ohio, Louisiana. And it's that they wanted to go to the eastern part of the country. And the Tallegewi weren't going to allow them to just settle their lands and eat their food and live amongst their people. But the Lenape say, our gods promised us this. Now, to double back on something, I'm going to go to the Wale 50,000 PowerPoint. And I'm going to go there to show that this is not new, right? Many people say, well, oh, you know, you posted that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about none of that. This is work that has been right? Things that have been presented to the family, which now can be presented here for the time being, because this is definitely getting taken down, gave too much information. Right? When we deal with things like this, so pull this up. Let's see how long it's behind. Let me bring Cuz back in. Still loading. Hold on, this PowerPoint still loading. Why it ain't pull up yet? Let's see. Did it freeze? Let me see. There it go. It's always this one for some reason. It might even pop up with the letters looking all crazy and stuff. Hold on one moment. Let me see if I can do this right. Nah, they giving me hell now. See, this PowerPoint, I already know what's going on. They not gonna let me show it. They giving me hell with this one. Let me stop and try again. They didn't even let me pull it up. Let me try this again. Yeah, nah, that's crazy, right? They not even letting me pull up the Wale 50,000. So now that we covered the migration, now that we covered the ushering into the Mississippian era, we covered who these people are, but I just want to show that this is not new. This is nothing new, especially not to the scholars, right? But to bringing this to the people is not new. This is the PowerPoint that was shown months ago. Let's see. What are we doing? All right. So it's up on the laptop. Give me like probably 10 more seconds because I definitely could tell it's behind. So when we look at this projection, right? These projections are made by Europeans. What's not usually explained is everything, right? So you have Kofa Techekwi, right? Or Kofa Techekwi, and you have Kusabo, but they have Wale at the bottom of the map as if Miku Wale wasn't a part of this nation. And the reason they have to separate it is because if they add Wale, they would be forced by name to add the Tallegewi. And if that's the case, that would mean that all of these people, again, were a part of that. Now, what you have in these microships, you have your invaders. So I'm going to point out your invaders. Y'all ready? Watch this. It's talking about the Kushida, right? It says named after migration in mid-late 1600s to the Chattahoochee. Now, they left the West. They came to the East, and the Bird family named them Kushida, and they moved to the Chattahoochee. The Kasabo and the Chicora are not different, but how ironic is that Francisco de Chicora or de Chicora was considered Wale. And this now we can show this, right? So in this micro or in this particular in what we're viewing, right? Let me click over to see if we could go next. What I want to show here is that again, when you know who you are, can't no one just take. And we're not talking about the people that are being named here. I need to get to this part is going to be about the after, you know, before the Mississippian era. But now that 3 more people came in, they stopping me. They know what they're doing, bro. I'm telling you, this PDF is too serious. This is why I had to take it off of YouTube. It's too serious. Let me see if I could if I can't even exit out of it right now. It's too serious. They know better. And the reason I say they know better is because if this gets to the masses, then people got a problem on their hands. They have a serious problem on their hands. This is sick. My presentation won't even show anymore. That's sick. This is sick. Let me see if I can. I don't know. I don't even want to touch the screen because this is crazy. This never happened before. This never, well, I can't say it never happened before. It never happened this way. Like now it's like 30 seconds behind. And it basically try to discourage you, but I'm not going to let it discourage me. I'm just going to stay right here until it pop up. Because this information needs to be out. This information needs to be out. And I'm sharing the screen, but now it's projecting as if I'm not. So they kicked me off on the other screen. This is sick. I'm telling you. This is crazy. Let me see if I can pull this back up. They ain't no good, y'all. They ain't no good. Everything was just running smooth until I tried to pull up that that dagger. It's probably not for me to show it. That's probably what it is. Probably not for me to show it. So it's up on the computer now. It should be popping up very soon. Let's see how far it is. So it's about what? 5 seconds behind. Now, okay, boom, perfect. So this is the map that the Yuchi have on their website that explains mound building, right? And it says that basically what they're projecting, right, is that this culture that 1000 BC spread down to Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, all of this bullshit. But we know from what we have even proven that mound building spread from these coasts and from these coasts to up there. And it was these people that took their mound building up here too. So this is how you get the greatness. Now, the difference is we've just showed mounds 3,000-4,000 years older than the so-called mound builders and the Olmec, right? Or those that they're projecting to be, right? The Yuchi as Negroes. So this man, this is Thomas Woodward. He actually took some Yuchi with him to Texas. And what he's explaining, he says that I had some Yuchi Negroes that spoke Yuchi, Creek, and Hichiti. They and the Shawnees could understand much of each other in Yuchi. Now, this is one reason that they believe the Sowanokas and the Yuchi were one and the same, but they were completely different people. They just understood each other in these different languages, right? And it also says that the Shawnee, that they reached to Ohio, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. This is something that I was explaining earlier, that we're going to go back to, is that, again, you can find pieces of Swift Creek culture in these same lands. So in this same text, in these letters, it says, when the Creeks first settled the country, they were the neighbors of the Sowanoka or the Shawnee. Now remember, this just means the people of the South. The Yamakra, the Yamasis, and the Hichiti. Though, right, they inhabited customs and language were more like the Shawnees. So these groups of Creeks that came in were more like the people of the South there's a reason for that, because again, a lot of people that were considered to be Creek were not originally Muspa. They were Wale. Now, Thomas Woodward didn't know much about the Wale. What he did was classify them under the name as Yamasi, just as they did in the colonial era. Now, months ago, Hogalugi, Talakwalewi, right? Togo Galegi, Ani Yutsi, Kofatachikwi, Okwaja, Yupa'a. So these are different names that were used for our people. And again, this bill, right? This bill, like Bilbo Mound, how ironic. This bill was set months ago. This was done months ago. And here it goes again with the LSU mounds, which are older. These are our aunties at the Irene Mound site. They actually had indigenous women dig up those bones. They had indigenous women um, doing the groundwork for them in Georgia, right? Now in Carolina, they also have 5 national recognized or registered mounds that you all can look into. The Santee mounds are very important because they come a part of a migration story. Depth Fort culture. Notice that Depth Fort culture is 1,000 years older than what I showed Swift Creek culture to be. The reason I showed Swift Creek culture is because it was that grew into the lower part of that Mississippian era or that Mississippian culture. These were the people that the Muskogee in the South met as they crossed over, right? So they were taught some things. This is the extension of said of the Depth Fort culture, what they consider to be the Depth Fort, but it was coastal. And in the interior, you still find remnants. However, as explained, when things needed to be done, certain people were given lands in order to cultivate because we didn't really plant. This map is a map of Tennessee. What you will find is some connections in the southeast, right? You will find your Okone, your Sakuhachi, your Kolamoki, but this is Kalamachi, right? Sakuichi, Okchi, Okoni. You have Tennessee, right? You have Ikwa, you have Hogaichi. Now, on even Sowanoa. Now, our Savannah comes from our Taino cousins. They called it Zabana. But Sowano means south, right? These these same terms you find in their work. Now, Wale on paper, I'm mashing these together. The name Wale doesn't occur in the Carolina records in reference to any of these people, although it is certain that many of the Yamasi were of Wale origin. The issue that the speakers, the voice for these groups of Yamasi have is that they do what their ancestors did, and that's try to find a way to speak for everybody. You can't do that. There are other families that have their freaking story. So it's you generalizing the story because you don't want to create separation within the story. Eventually, you create a lie. You create a fallacy, right? You create a fallacy because you'll tell someone, well, on paper, these people are extinct. They became known as this, and this. Even in that, that doesn't give you the right to speak on or speak for those people. They ain't you. You migrated into something, right? After they had given you something. Same thing with the Lenape, right? You have people that were considered Tuskegee that were originally Tallegewi, but they spoke a different language. Now they were called Cherokee. And you have Yuchi, like the town of Chora, right? The town of Tanasi, right? Chattanooga, right? All these different towns, dog, are Zoya, but were considered to be other than, taken away from the actual history of the people. Now, the first mention of the people who later became Yamasi Indians can be ass. They are whooping my ass every time, y'all. I'm sorry, man. Listen, y'all know when I get hot, they go to kicking me. They go to kicking me. So let's see. So the first mention of the people that were Yamasi, they found them on in the records of or European records, right? And in these records, they were on the coast, but they were called Yamakran. And what I was explaining is that the Yamakran or the Yamakara are from Mexico. So that group of people are a different. If they have to be honest, if people have to be honest, right? You have to admit that the Yamakra are the Yamakara. Hold on. Can y'all hear me now? One. Okay, so yeah, you can hear me. So I explained that. Tomuchichi was Yamakara. But in that migration, no one is talking about how those people migrated from that area until what is the southeastern United States, right? Now, the key part about this is it says the people who would later become Yamasi Indians. So who were the people that later became the Yamasi Indians? The Wale. But they became Yamasi by way of paper because, again, they had to get rid of the Igua'a in order to settle the land legally in their law. So the Yamasi, it says entered Florida as seasonal workers. And this you can actually find in their text in the Yamasi Indians, Florida to South Carolina. It explains also that the Wale worked for the abuses. So it was always war. With the Yamasi, they started using these different groups of people that were Yamasi to enslave the Wale, to enslave the Timucua, and then give lands to these people. Because think about it, the Yamasi had lost their chiefdom that they were giving in the interior, that they held down for a long time. So when they lost their chiefdom, and they came into the southeast outside of the families that were given land. A lot of them started taking land for the Europeans. Now this can be found in the United States Department of Interior, and it is explained that while they by the Europeans, they seen us as being heathens. A lot of the people that you see at the Yamasi weren't Christian, were the Wale, because there were wars, and some termed it as the Yamasi Revolt, which is incorrect, right? It wasn't called that. It wasn't considered that. It was considered by even the people that we went to war with as the Ikwa'a. Now, some people say, well, we were known as the Ikwa'a. You're a damn lie. It was the Ikwa'a that were known as you by way of word. We can't use this term because if we do, we say that these people are alive. So we're going to use the name of another people to classify all of these people. This is what was going on. So here it says by 1675, the Westo had already begun driving the Tama from interior Georgia. This is the Altamaha. By name Elijah Wilburn. These are his people, or the group of people he claimed. Now, when these people migrated in the South, it says in both Wyoming and Appalachia, these Tama refugees were referred to as Yamasis. So the people from Altamaha that came in uh, were from the interior. They too were considered to be Yamasi. Next, we have the origins, right? The Yamasi origins and first occupation of Florida. This is also found in the book Yamasi Indians, Florida to South Carolina. And in a snippet, right? And what it explains is it's talking about the identity of the Yamasi. And it basically says that the Yamasi are a Native American group not often identified with Florida. And this is the author speaking. In part, I suspect, quote, we're going to put quotes on that, that this is because the Yamasi occupations there were briefly sporadic or episodic, right? But my mind, they were there briefly. It wasn't that much. Now, what it also explains is that their identity, the Yamasi identity, has been blanketed beneath the or falsely equated or combined with that of Wale. So it's been covered by Wale, blanketed by Wale, or just falsely equated that these two are the same. And this is what a lot of people are doing today. They're falsely equating the Wale to be Yamasi because that's all that they were taught. They don't understand that these people have two completely different origins. They spoke completely different languages, right? But they eventually interacted with each other. So this is why we asked the question, if you have a Wale band of Yamasi, if you have a Wale band of Cherokee, who is the Wale chief? Now, eventually, after hearing this, they're going to instill a chief, which I had the dream of who it's going to be months ago. And we have it documented that I already put the dream on paper. So when people get the information, the first thing they're going to do is say, we need to use this information to better what we got. Void of how it's going to make the original people, right? How it's going to belittle them. Now, the Wale and the Africans joined the Yamasi. They brought skills, knowledge, and practices that benefited the Yamasi as a whole. So they're talking about these groups that consolidated. This time, what was understood is that sovereignty was the value, right? Being able to uh, live by and for one's own. One thing that I will point out here, now that I have a couple people in here, is that these stories were often split. So you have Miku Hashpa in Carolina and Kakik Hospuch. These are different men from the same town, same clan, but the Spanish and the English write about them differently because their point of views were different. However, their students mashed these guys together as if they were one and the same. So this is why actually understanding Wale is important because you have people claiming lineages of people who weren't even in particular areas. So, oh yeah, Kakik Hashpa gets my whoop the whoop, and it's like, bro, but he Carolina. He left before. So with this talking about the Swanston. Now, Swanston has an interesting take on this, right? He has an interesting take on this. And um he's explaining that it's been taught that the Wale and the Yamasi were identical, but according to the archives of the Spanish, you can notate the difference. Now, the Yamasi, as an ancient tribe, right? They eventually migrated into the provinces of what we know as Wale. So when Francisco de Chicora, the term Yamasikran or Yamasikarun is Yamasikran was used, or Tama was used, what has to be explained is that there was a nation of people that allowed settlement. Same with the Peruvians. Not often are you going to hear anyone talking about the people of Peru that were also in the southeast. See, Wale Yamasi, One Moment by Color Law. So here are some descriptions of the Yamasi. And this is Woodward. So Thomas Woodward. Let me go back. I think I must have clicked over something. One moment. Let's see. Go back. I hit back. What's going on? So Woodward. So this is Stephen Richards on Woodward explanation of who this. Now you got this mass group of people. So it says the Yamasi having dark skin, coarse hair, thick lips, and flat feet, and having inferior war implements to the Creeks. He says that there was a war of extermination waged by the Creeks against the Yamasi. Now, often people say that there's no difference between the Creeks and the Yamasi, but how was there a war waged by the Muskogee on the Yamasi? What was the difference? There had to have been some form of separation. What was the difference? Now, I'm going to tell you the difference. I'm going to give you the bones. In the general sense, they're incorrect. In the peace month, come on, man. I'm going to have to drop this link for you. I forgot to send this link. Why did I do that? You called me and all. But let me send this to Mike. But when they were saying Yamasi later, it's general classifications for so many people. But the fact of the matter, when we get to when we get into it, the Yamasi and the Muspa are the same people, just different migration time periods. They literally were in Central America and South America living together. This is why the Hichiti stories say that when they come out of the cane break, which is similar to stories in this land, they came out in South America, which was told to me by the historian, by Pa. So he knows their migration story better than the outsider, right? Which would have been them. So now that story of these people coming out of the cane break in South America and traveling up, this is the Yamasi story. The Muskogee part of the story, or the Mukasuki part of the story, is when these people eventually branched off and became different groups within these migrations. Now the Yamasi and this is talking about those of we're getting into the interior. It says the Lamasi, which are the because the double L makes the Yamasi and other nations of the interior were tall and morenos, dark skinned. The Okleveja tribe of Seminoles were said to be the descendants of the Yamasi, as they are blacker and are remarkably should be of a remarkably dark complexion. This is William Simmons or Simon. This is the sketch of Seminole War. It says he's talking about a negress, right? And he's talking about her having Medusa, right? Hair like Medusa. But if you look at these people, mothers and sisters, they got weave in their hair or they straighten their hair. They don't have locks like our aunties and mothers. They don't have locks, gray locks like Wale mothers. They don't have the white locks like Wale mothers. They don't have the short white hair or the pepper hair like our mothers. Letting you know these women come from different stocks. The women aren't the same. So next, they talk about, this is he says, a comical appearance of a small half-breed at the Big Cypress Swamp. This is right here in Florida. And it says that his head had spikes over it like the ancient battle club. Now, eventually, this is going to show you the ancient battle club. I'm going to, show you the ancient battle club, but this is piecing this together. So you have so many different groups of people that appeared to be Negroes. You have Africans mixing with these Negroes, and now everybody became known as Yamasi. When that happened, the government said, hey, you gonna be the chief of the Yamasi in the north, you gonna be the chief of the Yamasi in the south. That's how that happened. So what happens to the voice of the Wale? What happens to the voice of the Kawita or any groups of people that joined with them, right? Now, this is in the congressional record. This is United States Printing Office, 57th Congress, first session. House of Representatives document 179, report of Industrial Commission on Agriculture and Agricultural Labor. Washington Government Printing Office, year 1901, page 824. Every time I say that, I got to say that twice because that bit is long. But what it explains is it says that, uh, talking about the human race, he is of high authority, speaking on the author, right? Or who is speaking. It says that the Yamasa Indians were Negroes, later known as the fiercest of Indian tribes in the South. The well-known Yamasa Indians were Africans. Indeed, he adds, they were much darker than the other Indians. So what Indians were they much darker than? The Mississippians, the Lenape, the Algonquin and Algonquian speakers, the Suki, because the Suki were more Asian mixed than the original Yamasi. The original Yamasi would have been considered Negro or Negroids today. This is a fact. But what happened when even some of these Negroids on their pamphlets say that they came from Africa, or they have ancestors that came from Africa about 20,000 years ago? At that moment, then and there, you cannot claim the topper site because that's 30,000 years older than what you put on paper, right? At that moment, you can't claim Irene culture. At that moment, you have to realize that, hey, there's still a people that are originally from there. We're going to give them respect and we're going to live together. We're not our ancestors. We're going to give them the respect. Now, Wale and Yamasi, though often lumped together, they are distinct groups. Both had independent languages and later adopted Hichiti. So the Yamasi even had their own before they had Hichiti. While the Yamasi were known as the interior people, the Wale lived on the coast. This is after that Mississippian era, just to clear that up. Wale and Yamasi have different ceramic practices that eventually became indistinguishable. This is a fact too. What you will notice is when you study ceramics, because all of this isn't in books, when you actually study the groundwork, you find out that, hey, the Yamasi began taking on the practices of the Wale and the Timucua, and they became so good at it that the anthropologists can't even differentiate. So Wale and Yamasi became synonymous, right? While they became synonymous, or while Wale became synonymous with Yamasi, still towns, there were still that were still Igua'a. They weren't Yamasi, they were Igua'a. But on paper, you would make it seem as if they were Yamasi. But if they were that, they wouldn't have been going to war against the Yamasi. They were going to war against the Yamasi for putting their family members on the plantation. So now what you will notice is, now go back. What you will notice is when I use the term Yamasi, right? When I use Yama, I'm speaking on those that were in the South America, those that were in Central America. Yamasi are those that migrated here and were given the land. The Yamasi are those that is the Confederation, the group of people that were putting people on the plantations. That's because that's what was going on, right? Now, Wale origins, according to, if you let Europeans tell it, they'll say, well, prehistory, Wale is about 1,300, well, we'll say 1,000 to 1,300. But then what happens when we go back further, right? And then when it explains that those remnants, or those that they consider remnants, as they say, join the emerging Yamasi, right? And here are different names: Ore or Wore, Wale, Kula, Talokalewi, Kofotechikwi, Oge Iji, Showanoki, Yupa'a, Wala'a, Iwa'a, Wala, Yuchi. So all these are different terms for these people that were here before the Mississippians, right? Before the invading Mississippian culture. Now, Potocaligo or Potocalago, Pocosabo, Uspa, which is Ospo, or Lutsi, which is Blackwater, Wale, Sapala, Tolomolo, they were all Wale towns. Even Sakuhachi was originally Wale, but people are considered Masi. And again, we have to tell the story, and we have to be factual about this story. Now, more than 50,000 years ago, Wale have interacted with prehistoric animals. And we're going to keep it simple. So we talk about the sloth, the black bear. I did a build on this already. Now, the Altamaha is a prehistoric animal that lives in these waters that are being kept alive. But if we give you the rivers and the waters and how to bring this to the surface, the average human will tell. The average human will try to get it put down. Topper site. Topper site is said to be 50,000 plus years old. This Topper site that's 50,000 plus years old is in the Carolina Islands. And it's at the Sakuhachi campus. Now, this is on the brinks or the banks of the Savannah River. Ikwa 50,000 before the Lenape weren't even here yet. The Lenape weren't even here yet when these stone tools and these carvings and all this was being made. They weren't here. So these mound builders, right? They were here 50,000 years plus, and we can prove 250. But that's for the family. We're going to let y'all talk about it while we hold this, right? Any questions? If you in the comments, drop questions that I can answer once we're done. That'll actually help me assist you all with anything you may need after this. Now, important is this. Wale, we didn't originally eat corn. We don't have a origin story for corn. We have a migration story for corn. With that being said, our diet was completely different from the Yama that were coming over here and those Yamasi that settled and those Yamasi that became. When we took on that corn diet, that starch diet, our bones, our ancestors' bones and teeth were starting to deteriorate. Their jaw structure, bone structure, heads, they all became smaller. Some parts of their muscles became bigger because of the workload. But when you study the teeth of the Wale women from prehistory until the 17, 16, 1500s, you find out that our great, our historic mothers didn't have any diseases that are recognized today, and we have the work. If you look again, you have to watch that Wale diet video because we explained that when the Lenape cross, they say, wait, these are pale skins that are tall as shit. These are blacks that are tall as shit. They're big. They have little people with them that are robust. Somebody short and stocky. Completely, their body types were completely different than the average Lenape who was 5'6". Thank you. Bless me. Or 5'7". So they were already a smaller people. Of course, they would consider the average 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" person to be a giant. 6'6", 6'7". So when we talk about water origin, D2 peer, right? You're a rhino, and this is closing down. I'll end it there. The rhino, the water horses, all of that different stuff comes up out of this ancient culture. Now, this culture is so ancient that you have a people that were living amongst the saber-tooths and the giant sloths and the tupir. You have people that saw which puma migrated off of our coast and never returned. And that puma landed in our cousin's land across the pond and became the cheetah. So I'll end it with that. From the migration to the immigration to now, Wale, Talakiwi, Talakwalewi, Tahokili, Taho Kwalewi, Hogo Ichi, Telagora, Tola Gola. All of these different dialects, no matter what, it remains the same that these people had the whole East before the Mississippian era. So now the goal is to unify this. How do we unify this if we have a people that has a completely different story that are willing to change their story because someone knows something different? They no longer hold that ancient tale. They no longer have that idea of this is me. It's that has to be me because it's older. I'll leave you with this. Anyone that has completed this video will have an education above the average indigenous American. And I'm telling you, you are in the 99%. Literally, you take this information, bring it to family, and you explain to them that we need to get our things together. And so it says extended families of Wale becoming conquered by. That's one thing, right? Some of them were conquered, others just dispersed and came further south. But we were written out of the books. Like we had active chiefdoms, active towns that these people wouldn't even acknowledge on paper. They wouldn't even acknowledge on paper. So open mics, I know those three did drop. They probably think I left. Let me send this back, Red Crane back, so we could actually have a free build now. So Munt, cuz y'all can open your
I
mics.
heard open. Yeah, I heard open mic, so I got some questions.
Talk to
Since
me. Let me
I
get
since
let me get a
since I
water. I'm
come in
listening.
since I come in a little halfway through, so you just said Tallegewi is a dialect, not a people.
Say it again.
You said Tallegewi is a dialect. You said different dialect at the end.
I gave it in different dialects. So the name
Okay.
Talegiri, like Tologora, Hogoichi, Ogichi, like we actually can find this documented, right?
Okay.
That
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So I was just giving the different dialects that the name is in.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that wasn't my question. That was like half of it. But the question that I had is who were the first people that the Wale um came across? Not trying to not they came across to try to conquer, not Lenape, but I'm talking about like who were the first people or tribe of people that they come in contact with. Let me say that.
The Toyo Taino, the different
Okay.
groups of the Taino are the first people that we came in contact with. And this is
Okay.
proof. We have other proofs of this, right? Um, what we have found is that via our cousins, right? There are some terms in our towns, right? Our particular towns that you do find in their language. They did get up here about 18, let's say 18,000 years ago. We know it was longer than that, but those are the first people that we actually encountered here, that came up because they came up through Florida.
Okay. Okay. Now another quick question that I have. Um, hold on, gotta pull it up real quick. Quick question is, I heard you in previous builds talking about. Hold on, let me pull them up. Okay, so we built on the Shawnee and the Delaware last week, right? And then previous to that, I saw we had built on the the Yuchi, right? The Tosoya. Okay, in relation, not relation, but at what point in time? Because I remember I couldn't remember. I remember you saying it, but I don't remember right now. At what point in time did the Tosoya and the Shani or the Shahanadasi, when did they come into fruition? That makes sense. Oh, he tapped out. Where he go?
I think something happened.
Oh, my bad. So yeah, what I was saying was the Zoya always been here. The original children of the sun always been here. Um, the Shawnee simply means south. So it just
Right.
means anyone in that southern land is not a tribal people. So what we know as Shawnee, or the people that we know as Shawnee, are Lenape. Like, there's no other way to explain it. Once you get that unification, that green corn of these different groups, you actually figure out what's going on. So the
Okay.
Shawnee calling the Lenape grandfather is like, wait, I thought Shawanok means south. So who came from the south that was subject to them? You get what I'm saying? That's where that come from. Now the Shawnee and the Yuchi came back into the southeast during the 1600s, but they came as raiders. They came with the Westo, who are also Lenape.
Okay. The reason why I asked that question is because I'm looking at this map and it's showing the Yuchi, the Shawnee, and the Cherokee in the same territory. They don't say when, but I was trying to help a family member, one of my elders. Her people are Yuchi, and I was looking up one of the origins of the towns in which they were born, right? And when I pulled it up, there was this area where when I pulled up the little town, it bring up all three of them. Not to say that they was mixed or anything. It just
Nah,
say
so I explained that. I went over that earlier. I wish you would have caught it, because I talked about how there's a group of people that became known as Tuslegi that were Yuchi, or were considered Yuchi, right? Because what you're gonna notice is a lot of those words, Ichora, like I was saying, Tugaloo, all of that shit is Zoya, bro. All of that is Yuchi. So the
okay.
people
I
that
remember you telling me that.
Europeans were considering Cherokee were Yuchi, bro. So the idea, this Cherokee, that shit just means people of a different speech. But there were different branches of these people. You have like the Anigiduwa. So you know about Kidawa.
Yeah.
That's Lenape too. Literally.
Okay. Yeah. We built on that last week.
Remember
Okay.
that. So what I'm saying is, when you looking at all these nations, you have to look at when the Europeans start documenting them as being nations. That's gonna blow your mind, because you're gonna be like, wait, these were their own people. All of these people was their own people.
Full, I'm
Or
back,
or it was the
but you
generals.
dropping.
You get
No.
me?
What up, Red Crane?
What's up with you, bro?
Man, just
So
living
Somebody
in
don't
the
want me to
good.
say nothing. Every time I be about to say something, I unmute the mic, I get dropped. That is weird, man.
Hey, just keep your mic unmuted.
Right, for real. Every time I want to say something, I get dropped.
oh shit, we got Par here, Red Crane, you on this bitch too.
Right.
What up, Bob?
Whoa, what's happening?
I'm just cooling.
Good.
But yeah, man, that's kind of how I explained it to my auntie, but I wasn't factual in what I was saying to her,
I need
cause
both of these chargers. Now I can use the other phone.
uh, cause I'm like, man, it didn't make no sense when I'm like, I told my auntie, I said, Auntie, your people Yuchi, like I found them on Yuchi territory, but then I go to the map and it say Yuchi, but then it also says Shawnee, then it also say Salai it say Cherokee as well, Salaki. So I'm over here like, I wonder what you just said. I was like, I wonder if they uh got reclassified as Cherokee, but then that could, well, I mean, I guess like at a certain point in time, like you said, them stories, like when you go back and look them up, and I was over here telling my auntie, I said, but your people went from that area and then they went further south
Again,
to
like, a lot of them had to enroll with those 5 civilized tribes. So that's why you
right.
will
So
find them on them roads, but that don't have to be them. You get what I'm saying? Like for
yeah,
sure. So
I
like
was trying to help her find the people on the road, and then I found her oldest ancestor, and then I was like, yeah, but your oldest ancestor, or the one that we found on her on the creek road, it didn't list her mother nor her father. She was listed by herself. And then when I looked up where she was born at, that's when I found the Shawnee, Yuchi, and Cherokee all in the same that same little town or whatever. And then I was like, I wonder why she ended up on the Creek Road instead of a Cherokee Road. And then it made
because the
and then I
Yuchi
said
Yuchi
she went
are
south.
subjects to the Muskogee. They don't have their
Okay.
own nation. They are Muskogee.
Right. And then so I had noticed that, and then I was like, maybe they because at some point I can't remember what year it was, like 1790 or something, or right around the early 1800s, they had moved to Alabama, and when I seen that they had moved to Alabama, I said maybe they didn't maybe your people didn't want to be classified with the Cherokee. Maybe they moved to Alabama to make sure that they stay with their people, the Yuchi.
Well,
It be
dealing with
so
the five, dealing with the five civilized tribes. Most of the tribes basically go under the Cherokee Nation for enrollment.
like what you
Like
mean
the
by
people
most
that
of the
claim Yuchi in Oklahoma, they don't have no structure.
Like,
I
like,
didn't hear you broke up.
like you got the Lenape. The Lenape they fall up under the Cherokee Nation.
The
Right,
Muskogee basically
right.
say they conquered them.
So
Crazy shit.
that's the way how they have it because they actually had to sue in order to file under the Cherokee Nation to be federally recognized.
Yep. But it's two groups down there. One of those groups come from Tennessee. That's the first group that started that Lenape, or excuse me, that Olmec mound building shit. So when you
Yeah. We
down
got the
there,
you talking about the UKB, the United Kitawa Band.
right? You feel me? But Kitawa, what I'm saying is that there's a group of Yuchi that are related to that group of Cherokee, right? That give mound building to the Olmec and to the Lenape or to the Mississippian era is because those are their fathers, bro. That's why they say that grandfather shit. That comes from them. You get what I'm saying? So when
Okay,
you
yeah.
looking at these groups and you like, well, this shit say Muskogee Creek, so I must be Creek. It's a whole fucking history behind that. Like they created that. You get what I'm saying? For their political purpose. So like you say, you find your
Right.
auntie on some Uchi shit. You like, damn, auntie, we Uchi. But then you find out politically, them boys ain't had no stance for a long time. You get what I'm saying? Because the
Right,
Muskogee was
right.
still doing them dirty. And you put that in turn, you put that, if you think about it, that's like the Muskogee still was enslaving somebody with original Eastern blood.
So the Yuchi that the Muskogee claim is Yuchi, and then there's another group of Yuchi, spell it different, Euchee.
They speak because but they spell it different, but the origin is the same. They just branch
Okay.
off into different shit. You get what I'm saying? That's how you have like the Zoya Yadaha, those in Tennessee, right? They don't really see eye to eye with other Uchis, which is weird, but they don't like niggas. You feel me?
Yeah,
So
they
like
don't like the Uchi. They don't like the Uchi of the savannah.
facts. They don't like niggas. So when Langley did what he did, like I said, if he would have had warriors, if you had warriors behind him that understood what he was doing, he would have, you feel me? He wouldn't have had to do what he did. You know, he would have been able to defend the savannah strictly with information about that land type shit. So, well, like I say, what we say is the Zoya. When we end up having that, you seen that video about the social society, right?
Right,
When
right,
that
yeah.
war happened, those that went north were considered to be Yuchi. That's how that shit carried over, bro. You get me? That's why I try to separate the two, because I know they kept the name Zoya, but they was considered. You get what I'm saying? Like cast outs, basically. So greeting,
Um,
G.
I mean, I get that now. Now I gotta go. Now I gotta go ask a traditional Yuchi person and a traditional uh Muskogee. Hey, why y'all still carry them same customs from way back then to today?
Yeah, what?
I said, I wonder. I said, now I gotta go. I'm gonna have to ask some of them, ask some of them elders, like, why y'all still carry that same type of mentality that you don't like the. Cause I ain't gonna lie, bro. I remember when I was a child, bro. And I had walking with a, let me say, a Delaware looking Cherokee, right? I'm walking with one of my classmates. He a Lenape looking Cherokee. He look like he's from, Asiatic, right? So I'm walking with him, and we walking past this man's house, who also is Lenape or Asiatic Cherokee looking. And so when we walking past him, and he throwing these knives at this bark tree, but he talking at me. I mean, he's speaking Hichiti, and I don't know what he's speaking at the time, because I don't know nothing about this. But then he follow us, and we go to the um, McDonald's, get some food. Like I say, I'm like 13, 14 years old. That man walked up on me and pulled a knife on me, but he didn't pull that knife on my friend. And he said something racist to me. He said, I don't like when black people be stealing my stuff. And I said, hey man, what you talking about? I told him, I said, bro, I ain't black. I told him like way back then. I was like, hey, bro, I ain't black. I was like, that don't even make no sense. You coming at me like that? And then I'm looking at him. I said, hey, bro, when he pulled the knife out on me, I said, hey, bro, he got a knife. And I get up and I take off running. My partner, he didn't take off running. He didn't understand what I was talking about. I mean, where I was coming from. I said, hey, bro, he pulled a knife on me, a blade on me, like he was about to cut me for being the tone that I am. And I was just like, that didn't even make no sense to me, because the man literally probably was like maybe a shade or two brighter than me. And then that's when my homeboy said, "Hey, bro, it's some natives out here that's racist to other natives." And I was like, "Yeah, that shit wild, bro." And I didn't
What you feel to
understand
re-
it back then.
what you fail to realize is that when the Lenape and them came over, they seen everybody as snake people, okay? And I told this to Lanier yesterday in the back chat of the Facebook. I said it's funny how you had the Irish went against the snake people who was the Twa in Ireland, and then you had the Lenape get here, which became known as Snake Island, and they called the people snake people, and the snake people was niggas or black or dog, and that's the same thing. So they
So the
hate.
si- hold on, just let me interject real quick on that. Just to ask a clarifying question. The snake people that you just spoke about as the Twa in Ireland, are they the same
Yeah.
lineage as the so-called snake people that the Lenape seen when they came here?
Well, from looking at and dealing with the small people that they got out the mounds, oh, if Lanier has the picture, because I mean, even in South America, you know, you had tribes that said that the Twain was gods. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong.
Nah, you know, Best always been looked at as deity, though. Best always been, am I on? Yeah, I'm on. Best always been
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
at as deity. But the
Okay,
thing
okay, I was
is,
about to
what?
say Baba Best or but that's
Yeah, bro, man,
okay.
you know how I was. Like, cause I always used to say Best is my father, right? So that's why
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah. I
level of
remember that.
information, like, is
And if
different.
and if you know
And
anything about Bess, if you know anything about Bess, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Bess also hold snakes in his hand as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was a
For sure.
snake killer.
All right then.
And the thing is like it's like how cats play with snakes, and you will find that in the glyphs. You will find the cat eating the snake, right? Because it's a protector. He's a protector. But what they were meaning by snake is I did an in-depth analysis on their language. Is that anyone that was considered the enemy was considered a snake in their language? You get what I'm saying? Like,
That's
Bingo.
that's the
yeah,
same
so
Bingo.
it means
today.
different.
Okay.
Now you see.
Shit, that's the same today. That's the same dialect today. You are happy with snake. But yeah, okay, that makes more that do make sense. And I didn't know. Let me just say I did not know Best made made its its way all the way to the Americas. I didn't know that.
I'm gonna give you a secret. Best don't originate in Africa.
Ah, see?
Best don't originate in America. Best is older than Ptah, bro.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We know that. Yeah, yeah, I know
So
that.
that means that if he's older than the opener of physical life, Best ain't nothing physical.
That's but they got best ruins. They got best some of best's ruins all the way
Everywhere,
in right in Great Zimbabwe. When I was studying
everywhere.
the Great
Because the idea, the Syrians, that cat people is real, bro. Right? That spiritual being that created those, that feline, or what we consider the feline, right? Or the panthera, the big cat, that
right.
energy is real. So that energy manifested across the world, but it manifested as the Quay or the Twa. And what happens is, though some cultures may appear to be older and just may be older, want to say, well, shit, the oldest person living is over there. That don't mean that they're the oldest person that's the oldest person that you've encountered. You get what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So there are ancient depictions of best cuz in stick art that we can show you. You'll be like, bro, hell nah. I swear to God. You'll be like, bro, that symbol? I swear to God. Real talk, bro. So it's definitely a universal science. He says the Twa were the first to leave their continent, leave Africa. Facts. Here's the thing, though. Before America and Africa were together, they were separated, right? And that will give the bone. That will give the dagger, because these things came together. But when they came together, how much water was in the interior? So who was standing in the interior? You need water to survive. So what really was going on at that time? Did somebody force the land to split? Is it too perfect to just look like it just broke apart? No, it's too perfect. Like somebody created that puzzle.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
was it?
yeah, you talking about the so-called Pangea?
Want me to tell you what happened? Remember that
I mean,
social war I was talking about? That
yeah,
social
yeah.
society war I was talking about happened then, bro. Best won the war and still moved.
And you know what? And you know what, y'all? It's
Talk to me.
funny how they say that Pangea was a million and something years ago, right? But yet, I remember I asked someone a long time ago, "Oh, we couldn't have man living that long to be on the land when the land was split because it would have been too catastrophic." And I asked this person way in 2012, and so now a whole couple of years later, look now, because during my time in school, which y'all way much younger than me, they said that Africa was the only stationary continent and all the other continents drifted. But yet, you have the continent of Africa splitting right now. And don't they have people living on that continent while it's splitting?
Mm-hmm.
So why humans couldn't be on the land while it was splitting, but you got humans on the land while it's splitting now?
Yeah. They try to say it wasn't no humans.
But yet, that's a lie because you got people living on the land while it's splitting right now, and that's Africa.
And California.
Uh huh. But there's a story that says that we was on one landmass and we saw it splitting.
A quick question. So while we on this topic right now in the split, when I was doing some geographical or topography studies a few years ago, um, what is it? The islands of Crete or whatever that sit in between the Americas and Africa. What island? I forgot what group of islands sit between volcanic islands at that. And then I found the old topography map of Africa before how we see Africa today, or the map or maps of how we see Africa today, and the land that we call or that they call uh Guinea, um the Ivory Coast, all of that, that didn't exist. Ghana, all of that didn't exist. It was all water on the map that I actually got the map on my phone. I could put it in the comments or something. But when I seen that map and I don't see Ghana, the Ivory Coast, Guinea or New Guinea or whatever, and I'm looking at the map but I see the islands out there, the volcanic islands. Maybe the volcanoes or interior activity caused caused the split, and also the new land growth of what we call uh, Western Africa today.
it took it took certain parts of this East Coast and parts of the West Coast to make what we have today, right? Like with like even Florida, right? Florida in itself has the bedrock of a collision between our East Coast and their West Coast. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it
Right.
says, so would the descendants of those people be African or American? Neither. It didn't exist. They were twa. They would be neither. The land is the land. And
They would be
you're
what they call
modern
themselves, right?
facts. And that's literally what they call themselves. Kwa. And you hear this in Ikwa ah. You hear this in Boikwa. You hear this in Kwa, Timucua. You hear this all the time. Kwa, Okla. Right? Right? Even in
Yeah.
okay, right? Even groups of Yamasi, Okle, Veha, Okle, Kle, Kle, Kle. They were letting you know that they were people. Because Okle, Ogla, Kwa, Gua, all of that's denoting people, person. Now, the the thing about that is, right, is that um it says, so if these Afro-Indigenous people came, they wouldn't be Afro-Indigenous. They would be one or the other. They would be Kwa. Because these people lived all over the land. It wasn't
Which
until the land came together and separated that Europeans said, well, one is going to be African and one is going to be American. In reality, there were so many groups of Kwa around the world that you can't consider them to be African, nor American, nor Afro-Indigenous, or
it was just
Indigenous
the people.
Afro.
It was
They
just
were
the
just
Right.
people.
people. Facts.
It
They
was just
called
the people.
themselves people. Facts.
It's
Oh,
just
they
the
was just
people.
the people. And that
Right.
and how the Lenape be we the people. That shit is ancient. Every people called themselves people.
The people.
Facts.
Damn, now you going into the Iroquois and what they call Constitution. We the people.
On their route. But we like this is so you get what I'm saying? Like the info is so
Okay.
like it encompass so much. You get
But we've
me?
been the people.
And
We've been the people before that.
facts,
Right.
even before that. So even in Kim, right? Or in Kemet, the Aku, that was the same. That was the Dwa. But you feel me? Like it's interesting, bro. But it's not something that can be neglected. It's something that's often neglected because people love the giants, right? But when we get into the story of the little people, that shit rare, bro. It's rare that we hear about it.
Said
Now you
I
go, baby.
speak more on the twat in the than I do on giants. I don't know if I can't even tell you shit about giants
You
outside
breaking
of
up, cuz.
the Bible. I say I can't tell people much about giants except outside of the Bible because that's the only place I mean
Yeah.
outside of the skeletal remains that they find the giants with, but I can't speak on it because I ain't never seen that, so I don't know if it to be true. Nor do I know giants in the Bible to be true, but I understand that they things don't get talked about unless some things have actually have happened. But I try
You
my
breaking up,
best.
bro. Come back.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
It's breaking up. Hold on, cuz I'm at the music real quick. They got you. Hold on. All right, nah, that mic. Who is that? Somebody else with that crazy mic. That red crane part is you. Oh, y'all mics got real static. Hold on.
I had muted my mic, so it wasn't my mic.
Yeah, I
It
got
might
y'all
have been
back
my
right. I got y'all back right. My bad. I had to text one of my people and let them know like I'm gonna have to add extra to his package, bro. I just looked at the clock. That bit 250. I'm not gonna make that post office today, boy. Hey, he'll be good. That's an extra bracelet, extra chain, bro. You feel me? It's worth it. Let's see. He said even Native Americans talk about giants, call them Yeah, like that. That's what they call them in the Bible, right? But see, our giants were different than what they call them there, because we also have a term that came down or came out of the water. So what they were considering giants here were none but just tall people. But there are certain red crane and pa, iguana and yama. These are BLG, big medicine. These are the highest of the highest in their nations. Correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't there some there's some substance, right, that come from plants that can soften up bone tissue?
Yep.
So when these substances can soften up bone tissue, there are things that you can start to shape the baby or shape the baby as a child, even though it may be painful at that moment. That child may be bodies be completely different. The structure is different. So it's
That's
kind of like
how they
this.
was able. That's how they
Talk
was
to me.
able to shape the head and stuff.
I see you
Like the
took it right
elongated
from me.
head.
Facts.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, even when we born, what grandma say? Girl, you better shape that baby head. That's an ancient custom.
Right.
Yep. Even still to this day, yeah.
To this
You gotta mold the baby's head so they don't get that cradle capping out of that crap.
right.
Yeah.
If we even use that plant to also to heal broken bones.
Facts.
Okay.
And
So quick question then,
what's
since we on that.
in
Would
that
there be a
song?
would
Now
there
go
be
ahead,
a
cuz go ahead.
substance or a herb that would help make bodies elongated? Not just the head, but like how you just said, strengthen the bones. Was there something out there that would make you taller, that would possibly make you longer as a child?
Yeah. And that was also used to where we did surgery and everything to help the skull, like we had to do brain surgery.
Yo, you know what would be a dagger? Since you just said brain surgery, hey, you know what would be a dagger? What if the what if the oldest brain surgeon recorded in history was not Imhotep?
Said it again. Said it again.
What if the oldest brain surgery recorded in history was or recorded? Let me not say recorded. What if the oldest brain surgery was older than Imhotep?
It was.
Okay. I rest my case. What they say in the court, I rest my case. No further questions. So that means that the father of medicine or surgical medicine would not be Imhotep. He just the earliest so-called recorded.
Let me see. All right, I'm back. I
It
had
wasn't.
got
It wasn't
booted.
just. It just wasn't the wet mud. It was also the plant that's with the mud to do that. That's where you got your first cast from. The plants was your first cask that they used to put on the broken bones.
That's why. Go ahead, cuz.
Oh, that makes sense. I seen it on the
That's why he
on
keep
the
dropping. But that's why in that song "Patience," bro, he say a man that healed them broken bones in the bush with the wet mud. It's a way that happened. But look at your phone, bro. I text you for a reason. You feel me?
Wait, who you
I
Niggas
thought
get
you
texting?
that
text me
type of
because you tapped out.
information, bro. Like
Wait,
I hint at certain shit, bro. I
Uh
don't say it
wait, who
in
you?
general
Wait, who?
because niggas
okay,
will
okay.
Wait, who
take
you
it,
texting
bro.
to?
Hold on, you still live?
Who
Yeah,
you
of
texting
course.
to?
Okay, I meant to
Now
ask you that. I meant to ask you that.
I had text Month when I had first told him. I'm like, I'm hitting that. You feel
Well,
me?
because you know the questions I'm about to start digging into, but I'm not gonna ask because we still live.
Nah, you have
I
to
already
ask
know.
them, bro. I know how to format it. You
But
get
if
what I'm
I
saying?
ask the question, we dropping it's too much information gonna get dropped.
It's not, bro. because, like, for instance, like with telling you what's going on and then telling you what's going on is two different things. Because
Right.
giving the exact, right, would be giving what's sacred. Explaining is explaining what happened type shit. That be how I like, you get what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
Kid Fire. Yeah,
I
Kid
can tell
Fire.
you what
That's
happened. I can't
absolutely
tell you
right.
how it happened. Yeah. I get
right, you feel me? So like with sis, she like, I bet there was a mother of medicine. Facts. Of course, right? But Europeans dealt with men. This is what I was explaining last week
that.
on last week's show. Now I don't want to get into this week, but um, the women, right? It's kind of like the plague. The women owned cats because they knew the plague was coming from rats. So they cats was eating the rats. So women ain't get the plague, so they considered women to be the witches. The master of medicine is a woman, Mother Earth. She births the medicines. Women see a various color spectrum, right? Then the more colors than a man does. So
Right.
a woman could tell what was medicine and what was poison based off the shade of green. So of course, there was medicine women, and they were the best at it. But what we're dealing with, what we know written, them crackers don't deal with women. So that's why that's taught like on our channel, right? Because that's why I try to add those pieces. Because again, this science, mama had to heal her baby, is why mama was the best magician.
Right. Damn, that almost go into what I put on Facebook this morning talking about the that shit. I wasn't there to nurture on my mama breast, bro. It wasn't that changed stuff. I tell people that today, like if you know, to, some women they try to opt out of the breastfeeding, and I'm like, well, shoot, if you can pump or try to get that natural connection, it instills something into their genetic code versus Similac and all that other crap, Infamil and shit like that.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Questions. Only got 3 people viewing now.
People
It was
come
actually up.
people come into their knowledge at different times. I can honestly say that within self, I've had a chemical imbalance that I had to tap into in order to start studying. You know what I mean? Like to even start doing what we doing right now today, bro. I had to correct a chemical imbalance in my mind
Right.
in order to start digging into this information. And it might not have been may not have been me directly correcting that chemical imbalance. It might have been a hint might have got dropped on me, or like when you and Dunk picked up y'all phone and called me on Facebook talking to me about and building with me back then. I mean, so many years ago, stuff like that had to be initiated to tap in for me to tap into that higher learning.
Understood. Right. And the thing though is like this information can be contagious because a lot of people been beat up for a long time about who they are. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
oh look, bro proved that his people, some of the oldest even over here. I want that. You get what I'm saying? And all of us on here that can attach to that, right? Um, if we know people that's gonna be like, shit, I need a part of that too. I ain't have that in my repertoire. So it's like some people can't just learn and learn. They have to learn and be like, okay, let me add that because I could use this if somebody say this. You get what I'm saying? That shit
Yeah.
fugazi to us. And
Yeah,
now
that ain't
that
right.
is not right because what happens when you have families, and Red Crane can vouch for this. My mother can vouch for this. You have a family that's made up of different clans that has their own rolls, and there are over
Right.
200 people on these
That's true.
rolls, and this is just Florida. In Carolina, they got 300, right? So it's like now you dealing with people that have this same story. All of these people have common ancestors back to what, Rome, 1790, what you said, 1796. So
Right.
all of these different clans or different people still have ancestors that they can attach to in 1796. That means all of these people got this same story. Who in the hell are you to come try to override that, knowing it ain't yours? This is literally what these different groups try to do, especially the Lenape. Because the Lenape were 4 months away. Trust me, bro. They were 4 months away from saying, oh, the Yamasi, oh, they Lenape. The original Yamasi, they ain't come from South America. They Lenape. They came from Asia. The Wale, yeah, they came from Asia. I guarantee you, because they could say that and the government will rock with it because the government considered them to be the First Nation. So shit like this got to be done. You have to talk about the migration story of these different people, all of them,
Right.
because everybody came into here. We know we got people that left and went there, but we can't tell that story because it wasn't us. This story, this is contagious. You know how many people that's gullah that need this story that don't really know? People that was called Geechee all these years, not knowing this term was used pre-Columbian, not knowing this term was used all through the East.
And like you said, we tell that story today is different versus they didn't have. We can't tell that story today because we not the people that lived during that era, so they wouldn't accept it from out of you or any of us because they gonna accept what they heard from the Lenape first as the First Nation. Damn, that's
Fact,
wicked. That's
fact.
wicked.
All Lenape have to do is
And
say, nah, we
and
killed.
that's why the land is what that's why the land is what it was.
Explain what you mean, cuz.
I mean that's how the land is what it is now. I'm sorry, to where
Facts, yeah.
you can't take it back because they gonna say, oh, we don't got no records of that. Even if you, damn, that's wicked.
Man, listen.
Uh, uh,
Imagine
uh,
trying to
uh, uh,
imagine
uh, 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 uh,
imagine
uh.
trying to take some shit from a bitch that got the first treaty with the government, bro. This is what's going on, bro. These
Listen,
people are
listen,
cousins.
listen,
Go
listen.
ahead, Pa. Talk to me.
Even though, even though they can fix that mouth to say that bullshit, we dealing with the Washita have the story orally, all right? And it said
Right,
that they came across as a mongering war machine, and they was trying to decimate the ancient mound builders who was black and brown people. So
Dirty.
we know, just like I said, we knew the story. We just didn't know what tribe
We
it
ain't
was.
know who. We ain't facts. We knew it was Asians, but we didn't
Right.
know who. We like, bro, who the
but
fuck?
listen to this. So how could the government not accept ancient artifacts and
Show you something.
certain literatures? I don't know what the literature of
Cause
the
they take these artifacts and send them to Oklahoma.
They sent them to Oklahoma. They sent them to Smithsonian. They sent them to
Facts. The
all that there.
Smithsonian, the Smithsonian got bones of 8 feet tall people, bro.
right. So
What
how
you
is that what I'm trying to get at is how
you don't
with
understand how they got
if
that
that's a
power?
fact, if that's a no, I get how they got the power. I already understand that, but I don't understand how you could take something that you consider factual evidence and then not associated to the actual people that,
Because they
or
got
not
that power.
recognize, not give the recognition to the people of those tribes.
Here it is. They know. They're just waiting for you to wake up.
Dagger.
They know.
Hold on. I get that part. I get that too. But if we already awaken to the information, not only that, they put certain records in books, then why would okay, hold on. Never mind. I get it. Never mind.
No. Finish your thought.
I was about to answer my question.
He was about to answer his own question.
I was
Go
about to
ahead.
answer my own question.
Go ahead. Answer that.
We want to hear the
Go ahead.
answer. We want to hear it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to answer my own question. I'm about to say so.
Go ahead.
So them having that information, and like you said, Pa, they waiting on us to wake up. So they waiting on us to come along, put together out and unify or unionize and present factual evidence in their courts.
And why you think all those in Oklahoma and abroad is so motherfucking scared right now?
You know who the scared? You know who most scared of them all?
I already know who the scared ones are because I watch them when they go in there and try to present their information.
Listen, anytime you had somebody say this, and Linnell can vouch for it, he said, if somebody get hold to this, it will be 30 years of work that will be destroyed. So what 30 years of work you've been doing that's gonna be destroyed?
Nah, shit, it wouldn't even be 30 years. That wouldn't even be 30 years of work, bro. That'd be over 100 years of work.
And the thing is, like, talk to my adding their book, adding their text.
See,
you talking about adding their book to it?
The problem.
I'm talking about all around.
Listen, we found the paper trail to the criminal crime.
Facts. And they wrote it.
Right.
They told on themselves.
And they
told on themselves. They told on themselves, and they told who they came amongst. So we here. But y'all falsely label us what? Negroes, black colors, Afro-American, Afro-Centric, and all these things here.
Are we still alive? Are we still alive?
Oh, that'll be all right.
Are we still alive?
No, it did already. The whole thing come on, don't it? Or was it just that side? Oh.
That's what they're afraid of.
Yeah, we still alive, bro. Drop it. We could get the business.
No. I'm gonna still say.
Oh,
I'm just asking.
Like, cuz say, like, you like you said, unionize, right? That's what Wale was. You feel me? It was so many families that came together in different towns, and these different towns had a union, as opposed to the Confederacy that the Lenape had built. Because the Lenape really built the Confederacy. It wasn't just people that were considered Lenni Lenape, right? You had the Mingwe, the Iroquois, you had the Muskogee, you had different groups of Cherokee, different groups of Yuchi. So that Confederation was literally different nations that came together and said, we finna go against this. The Union was all of these different people that just stood together.
So when me and you had the phone bill a few months ago, and we was talking about unionizing through the family, through families of different Southeast tribes. What happened with that?
What you mean? What happened with it? People doing it. We doing it. Families have to do it.
I know. Not like is it.
Oh, you gotta hit me on that. We gonna build.
Yeah.
The aunties and you feel me. But I'll give you an example of that. Right. Say if you have 5 clans, right? And there's an actual family that can prove who they are, and they go through that ritual. It's something very special that blue fire brings to people, right? It brings the facts of the matter. And say if it pops up that this family is their family, right? And that dear family is one with all those other families. That's the union. That's literally the clan system. What happened was when Europeans start putting names on places based off chief, that's when they start creating their nations. You get me? So like Yamasi is a name or a idiom, right? It's literally an idea for groups of people, but or Yama are these groups of people, but these are so many families, right?
Right, right.
40, 50, 60, 100,000 different clans. Same thing with Wale, same thing with Zoya. So when you look at it in the grand spectrum, it's just family unified on principle. I fuck with them. We got the same mind. They eat, we eat. They go to war, we go to war. They up and chilling, we up and chilling. They sleep, we sleep. That one mind, that union, you get me? That's basically type shit. Like that's how tribes were built. And then these families, they may migrate together, right? That make them
Right.
nation. So it's a whole now when you do that, right? You have the Yamasi who have these families and they're fighting for this. And you have the Wale and you have these families and they fighting for this. Once these people prove, like you say, like everybody, all these different groups, the Shatta, all these
Cause how
different
you
groups.
saying that? How you saying that, bro? I'm
Talk to me.
literally like in my head, bro. I kid you not. Fuck records, bro. I literally went to the place where it ended. Let me say that where it ended.
Chill out, Bradley.
So hey, so I'm talking about watching on paperwork, looking and reading on paperwork these families that were forced out of the southeast into so-called Indian territory. And bro, I found they final resting grounds. They migrated, they were forced out and migrated together, and then they died in or laid in the same cemeteries together. Like I can physically go there, point to the cemetery, and be like, damn, bro, like, okay, this family, I've seen y'all on record with my people, and y'all in the same cemetery. Then on top of that, the land allotment that they got right next to each other. So what is that trying to say? That ain't no plantation system. That's something different. That's a clan system. That make a little bit more sense to me than to see on paperwork. Oh, your land allotment. Oh, y'all was kin. Y'all was neighbors. That ain't neighbors.
First of all, they should never sign no treaty to agree to that bullshit to go down the way in
I
the
I
first place.
I agree. I agree because I read that too. So I do agree with that. But not all of those families had that type of control within a tribe because they tribe became what they call civilized, so-called civilized, and then and what you said, Lanier, earlier in the presentation is shit. What happened when a family pretty much turn it cheat, turn it, let one person speak for everybody? You turn into
You
a
know what?
nation, and so they
You know what? Guess what?
what he say?
When
The
that
cities
when,
take power over the family, or the
listen,
town takes power over the family.
listen, when those chiefs sign that treaty, who is more powerful? Is it the chief or is it the people?
The chief.
No.
What you mean though? Because how would the people be? The people don't may not
The
even agree to that.
the people got way more power than the chief. He just a
And that's
voice.
why,
They was
and
doing
that's
evil
why,
shit.
right? And that's why the shit happened the way how it happened. That's why you
Right.
had
Okay.
gold.
So would that not be the chief? Like, bro, I done had little thoughts like, damn, John Ross whole ass was the one that was speaking for the people, but was the people really getting a
Think
getting
about
their
that,
voice
cuz
across? That's how it is today.
what chiefs were killed in order for him to be even considered chief?
Exactly.
So this is what we saying. So with the chief having that power to the Europeans in tribal court and tribal law, that's not the power that he had. That was the
Bingo.
Europeans'
Right.
idea.
I get that.
So that's saying too many chiefs, not enough Indians come from, because every
Right.
family would send their chief. The Europeans found out, well, damn, if everybody do that and they don't agree, then we can't get shit done. So we gotta kill them, get rid of them, enslave them, or even create a fictitious government for this to go on. That Cherokee government is the fictitious government.
Right. Get that.
So that's how that happened. So it's like with him signing treaties, that don't make him more powerful than the tribe. That's just how the Europeans viewed it.
No, I'm okay. No, okay, I get what you're saying. But I'm talking about based on the question that Pot asked. He said, "Who got the power, the chief or the people?" And I'm saying, in it, when it comes to a government mindset, I'm thinking the chief got more power because he's so-called speaking for the people. But the people didn't even agree with that.
So once again,
That
who
should
has
let you know,
power?
cuz.
Is
That
it the
right there should
people
let you
or
know.
is it the chief?
They make all the decisions. He just the voice of that decision.
Right, he's just a liaison. That's the only thing he
That's it.
is, a liaison.
Okay,
So
but him being up, but like, okay, so when you said the families got chiefs and they appoint, like how they would appoint to a tribal council. I get that. So, but if there's one standing, one so-called standing principal chief that speak for the tribe, but that's what I'm not understanding is if I'm seeing on paper, and this might have been where the division happened with the so-called Kitawa band, United Kitawa band, the Eastern band of Cherokees, and then the Cherokee Nation, because it's three different Cherokees federally recognized right now. So, but that might have been happening with the people because there was certain chiefs that did not agree with what John Ross was doing in Washington.
so what we explaining, cuz, is the chief doesn't have more power than the people. Just because he signed the treaty, that was on behalf of the people. Those that signed treaties not on behalf of the people were killed. Look at William McIntosh as a prime example. So the appearance that he has, since he got the voice, he has more power than the nation. That shit European as shit. This is what they did when they set up those territories in Carolina. They said
Okay, so that's what.
you gonna be the only voice in the north of the Yamasi land. You gonna be the voice in the south of the lower. So you got the upper and the lower. But even in the upper and the lower, you had multiple tribes and families that had voices that didn't operate in that system. This is the same thing with the Muskogee today. That
Right.
principal chief system, not their original system. That's why they
Well,
had
oh,
council.
okay. That's what I was. Okay, that's
That
what
the
that I
Cherokee, the
get.
principal chief, that shit is for business. That's like saying the CEO, bro.
Okay,
Bingo,
yeah. Okay,
bingo,
bet. Because that's
bingo.
what that's what I
Because
was trying to get to. That's what I was trying to get at. Like, okay, I'm not because I was even you heard me say so-called principal chief because I was when I see on paperwork, I'm like, damn, I see like multiple chiefs. So that principal chief shit was throwing me off. Like, damn, what the fuck? He got power over the others. So yeah, that's your. I get that now. That's European.
is
Before
this like
that,
what a person is this like what a person said when I asked them the question? I said, well, I guess y'all just don't deal with tradition no more. y'all just throw it straight out the window because I guess they federal recognized they can do anything they want. And they say, well, being federal recognized, the tribe can do what they want. They do away with what they call it, inherited bloodlines and everything. And I was like, wow, okay, y'all telling on yourselves now. Because dealing with tradition, right? You are what your mother is, but under the federal government dealing with their treaties and stuff and being federally recognized, they ain't gotta go by the mama no more. They ain't gotta go by their mama no more. So now they letting you know. And this is why they took the
Well, hold on. I had to go I had to go through my mama. But I will say this. I get what you're saying, Pop, because I had to just inform my auntie. I said, I just seen where I can't remember what year, but I guess the creek were having an issue with people trying to. This is long time ago, like in the 1800s. So they were having an issue with their people being recognized as Creek by blood because their mothers may have passed away and they didn't have a record or something like that. And so they would go by the clan system of the mother, right? So they wrote into their law. This is the Muskogee Creek, or I don't know, the Creek Nation or whatever, long time ago. They wrote into their law that Creek by blood is not just designated to the mother, but because of the old culture of the clan system going through the father, they changed the law and allowed clan fathers to start allowing enrollment back into the nation. So now I was able to tell my auntie that, and she's like, "Oh, so I don't have to go through my mama." I said, "Nah, if anybody in your family is Creek by blood, then you good."
I
So
I
yeah,
seen
Pa, you
I
right.
seen that often. So I want to ask, Paul,
I could actually go
do
to it in the document instead of me just saying it out loud. I could go to it and read it to you.
so Paul, when y'all do enrollment, do y'all do only matrilineal, or is it any like, or just have, or is it having a lineal ancestor?
when they do the enrollment, you have to put down your mother's maiden name and her marriage name, and they go through the mother.
Says, are the Yama and Tama of any relation? Later on, they are. Um, because you do have some people that were in the lower that became that, but yeah, they do have similar origins, and they definitely came back in Altamaha, or what's called Altamaha. What you will notice is like Timucua that were living there, and eventually mixed with some Yamasa people. I know that to be a fact, and a lot of them actually migrated to. And those same people actually linked up with Altamaha, end up getting guns. He ended up getting guns from the European, turning those guns on the Wale and Timucua, and even the Appalachi. The Appalachi, who are also Mayans, right? So
I found it. There you go, right here.
All right. And this is
It's
the thing, right? That it's funny how the traditional of the matrilineal has always been for thousands of years. Even in the hood, they knew it was matrilineal because they said what? Mama's baby, daddy's what?
that is maybe.
Daddy's maybe, you know? So, and then the first thing it be, right? When you going around, they be like, ain't you such and such a boy? Right? Talking about your mama and them, right? Or they see you and they look familiar, they be like, who's your mama and them? Or you say who your mama is, and they say, well, I know your mama and I know your daddy. But see, y'all probably be too young to know that, but you might know it. But anyway,
Okay,
oh,
here go. I got it right here. It say if one who has a clan right marry a woman who has no such clan, her and his children having no such rights used to be considered not a citizen of the tribe. While back, but while back then, but under our Constitution adopted in 1867, this is for the Creek, gave such children a right by blood on the father's side. By the old Creek custom, the heir to a man, unless he had brothers or sisters, to him was his nephew on his mother's side, as your father cannot be of your clan. All men that is of your father's clan, you call them shit, kaki, father. All women of her clan, you call them, man, I gotta get my
Wachi,
linguistics down.
Wachi,
Now it's a kaposi, grandmother.
Kabosi. Okay, Wachi Kabosi. Yeah.
Or Ali Bozi, second mother.
But see, but what wind up happening is you have to understand when they did that constitution, right? Remember, we didn't have a constitution. So now you
It
gotta
was
see,
oral. Was it oral?
listen. When the five civilized tribes did their constitution, they had to do just like every other state that was under the United States. They had to have a constitution convention.
Right.
So the United States is known as a patriarchal government. Okay.
Correct.
So now they say you can go through your father because you forgot some of those people that's with the United States government was those that came from the British Isles and all that dealt actually was dealing with Hebraic laws. Oh, did I say too much?
Yeah. Keep going.
Did I say too much?
Nope.
Oh,
You
okay,
should.
okay, okay.
I got something to add to this conversation. And originally the Muskogee weren't a matrilineal people.
Yeah, this is
When
right.
they
This
came
is what it
out
was
of their
saying.
territory, patrilineal. The blood was
Yeah.
through the father.
Exactly. That's what it's saying. It's saying by the old customs, the heir was a what heir to the was a patrilineal. So that's when they,
Because
but before, I mean, after or
because
during their
they didn't have a
constitution,
clan system. They just got their clan system when they got over here. So it hasn't even been 1,000 years since they had the clan system. They didn't get it until about 1250. Like
Or better
that's
yet,
new to them.
or better yet, right? Or better yet, what about this? What about if it was matrilineal and then it went patrilineal and then it went back to being matrilineal and then went back to patriarchal? Because um because the old boy slipped up at, right? He sent me the so-called Book of Mormons, which I already knew about the information dealing with the Book of Mormons. And I was like, oh, he trying to throw the Book of Mormons in there. And I say he must not know that I know about the book of Nephi, chapter 18. Y'all can go look that up. Nephi chapter 18. Go look that up. And it was saying about how the Israelites in them or the Hebrews in them left before the Babylonian captivity. Well, if you know anything about the Babylonian captivity and everything, you know that happened 3,000 years ago. So it says in the book of Nephi that when they got to their new homeland, which became known as the uh, the uh, the promised land, which they called the Americas, called it the promised land, they say it reminded them of Israel. Okay, so you had Nephi and all them there carrying on, and you had the Emilites and the Akbalites and all them there, right? And they mixed in with the people in South America, according to the Book of Mormons. And then that's what they say they came on up and everything, and that's how they wind up finding the doggone so-called gold tablets that was written in Micmac, right? right, as they say, and they found it in the mountains up there in upstate New York. So, hey, that's what
Facts.
I
That
say.
patrilineal blood came across that ice.
Right. And that's because old boy said to himself, he said, yeah, we related to the Hebrews. That's
Right.
what
And
he said.
you remember when I put that together when I said, man, they were worshiping Jesus. They
Uh-huh.
was praising Esau at
Uh-huh.
green corn. They was like, what? Like, yeah, we could prove this.
Uh-huh.
They
Yeah,
were
we put that
worshiping
together.
Jesus. Say it again.
I said, yeah, we put that together.
Facts. And that's what blew us, because we like, and the thing is, this connection was made before he sent that.
Right.
He sent it the next day, and we like, bro, we know that y'all claim to be the Israelites, because this is how y'all claim that the land in the east was promised to y'all.
Right.
They said
And
it. We said
to do that, when you go and take somebody else's land, you had to do what? You had to kill them, huh? And if you didn't kill them, you took their women and had children and
You had
everything
to
yep.
at
marry their
that
mama.
point.
Hey, it
That,
said
All
right
right.
here. No one
All
of the
right.
same clan, no one of the same clan can marry to the same clan, as they were considered of the same family. The traditional law or custom was a very severe punishment. The clan goes by the mother, and the town or band membership goes by the mother, as well as the tribal rights go by the mother, as well as the tribal rights go by everything goes by the mother altogether.
do they still have an active clan system?
According to this, yes, they got. I'm looking at um, let's say the clans or families of the Creeks. They got White Clan. I can't pronounce it. I don't know Chithi, so I'm gonna have to work on my linguistics. But their White Clan, they were considered a wind clan.
Hey, what red crap? Hold on. Hey, hey, come.
What's up?
Hey, Munt, tell Red Crane what's the nickname for Wind Clan?
White Clan.
Them
Hell
crackers
no.
slick, boy.
Right.
Then you got Wildcat. Uh, everybody out here. Also, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Most of the people out here, I guess the other so-called white clan is in the creek is Nkosi, and that's the Bear Clan.
And fuck
Uh,
they
that's what all them out here be claiming. Bear Clan, Bear Clan, Bear Clan. Uh, Fuswa is Bird Clan. We got Fox Clan, Raccoon Clan, Eco Alki is Deer Clan, and then they
Flip
got
the
Beaver Clan.
zucchini. Oh, my bad.
you trim. Say it again.
The last clan was the last two was
My shit
Deer
tripping.
Clan and Beaver Clan. And they
Oh,
both they
okay.
different sides, so it's white and red. You know how you was talking about
Right, because
white?
that white
Yeah.
is their peace, you feel me? Yeah, and their red is what they call war. Um, as far as their white clans, the bear, right? Their bear clan was eventually adopted. That was given to them once they got to the Alabama region. The same thing with like Wind Clan. So Wind Clan, they'll tell you is their oldest clan, but we have documented from actual members that they didn't get those clans until they got to the southeast. So they tell the story about the fog clearing the path on their way to the southeast, and
Mhm.
the wind blew the fog away. So that became the oldest clan, right? And then you got those that stayed back because it was a water tiger that wouldn't let them cross. So then came, you know what I'm saying, Panther Clan and Bear Clan, and these were their original clans that end up crossing over. So there's a story to like their, you know, their origin of the clan system on this side, because over there we know for sure they had jaguars and eagles, and that was their form of a social system. So all of these systems basically coincide. It just, you know, they have these slight differences, you know.
Okay. Hey yo, I got a quick question. I don't know if this is associated to let me ask this. You know how like we would always say, you ain't never heard no European call another family member cousin or something like that, right? Okay, so I'm reading this. It say all your clan women are your aunts and the men are your uncles and nephews. Okay, that's an assist clan system. Did aunts, uncles, nephews, and cousins come from us?
That what powers is Omi was explained, was asked about, right? Well, brought up, not asked about, she brought up. That's what we talking about, like the clan system. Your mama's brothers, the word for that is father. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
There's
right. The
no
word for that is father, right? I
there's
can get
no
that.
word for cousin, because those are your siblings. Those are your mother's children. Those are sister's children. Those her mother's grandchildren, and her mother's great great grandchildren. So everybody literally come from the same lineage with no question. You get what I'm saying? With no question.
Right.
So that's why it was
That
done.
would be your brothers. That would be your brothers and your sisters,
Facts,
basically.
siblings,
That's why
facts.
you couldn't marry them.
Right. Because that's why I say
So
you can't marry within the same
So
clan
then,
because
in
they
the
was.
deeper, there's also a deeper sense of it that I explained yesterday, in the private bill, is like cat families or bird families. You hear what I'm saying now, right? They're still
Yeah.
cousins. So you get me? Like,
Like, yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. Because
it,
I told you
it's
that when
extended
we on the
family type
phone,
shit
right?
too.
Yeah,
So,
I told we was talking about that on the phone. I was
oh,
like,
we did.
Wolf
We had that
Clan.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah. When
And
I said
even
Wolf
but
Clan, Mary Bird
but
Clan.
check this. But
Yeah,
check this out though. But check this out though. You listening? You listening?
yeah.
The baby kitten, the male baby kitten is not gonna mate with his mother. It won't. Just like the father won't mate with his daughter. They won't. But guess what a dog would do? Okay.
Shit, a dog gonna fuck anything walking.
Like this.
Okay.
There's certain tribes out there that smash their own daughters.
Yeah, but the cat family don't do that though.
I know. I'm just saying. They out there by the thousands.
Hey, as he said, cat family don't do
Hold
that.
on, wait.
Hell
It's
nah.
it's certain tribes out there that do that. What?
We
Man,
talking
come
about them
on,
right now.
man.
And they did say the Lenape that was doing some inbreeding, but hey.
Hey, 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 shit, they also ate any and
Are you my
everything too.
cousin? Yeah, you my cousin, but it's good though.
Y'all want to see some real Lenape? Go on Soft White Underbelly on YouTube. Look at the Whitaker family. I think that's what their name is. Y'all see some real ones now.
I not already seen that.
The
God
hills have
damn.
eyes.
Oh man, deep. Deep.
Billy, what Bobby G? Come on and bring it in here.
Yo, before them people came over here, they was already doing that. They were doing that in they kingship over there in Europe anyway. In all of their stories, Romanized stories, and all of that. They want to keep they bloodline pure and untainted. So they was smashing their own sisters and cousins and stuff. That's why I say when I was just reading that, dang, like they didn't they didn't look at it like that. Whereas the clan system, the family over here, that concept it come from tribes. We knew better, so we did better, and they called us uncivilized.
Bingo.
Mm-mm-mm. Where we at? So one viewer, our final viewer. Now go ahead, Auntie. We can stay on. Shoot, we can stay on. I'm finna drop it, but if y'all want to stay on, we
Oh,
can stay on.
okay, no, listen. I have a question. Did anybody answer Bradley's question because I wasn't around about the Yama? I think that's Tama. Are
I
they
had answered that.
what was it? What was it? What was the answer?
Talk about the Altamaha. Talk the Yama and the Tama.
Yes. Are they of any
They
relation?
became one. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
They definitely relatives.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Well, how y'all doing?
Oh,
I ain't
Fine
asked
good.
yourself,
anybody
Miss
that
Young.
question yet.
Oh, good.
All is well.
Great. Great. Great.
All it is.
Let's
I'm gonna need.
see.
I be telling the nigga to start these lives like about an hour a little later. That way I can chime in because every weekend I'll be I'll be up in the morning working, getting it in.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll be trying to catch the beginning. I'll be like, man, I gotta go back and watch it.
Yeah, no, that happens to me too. And I usually, be around, but sometimes I miss some of it, especially like sometimes the beginning, you know. But it's all good. You're here now. That's what matters. And hopefully we can work around that or something.
Look, I got my notifications on, so I called him. I seen it started in 2 minutes. I was like, ah man, let me call him real quick. Let me call real quick and see if he can
Yeah,
push it
hold
back
on.
an hour. But yeah, I'm here. So
So, okay.
They don't
So
hear you.
where we at? All right. So,
Yeah,
all right.
I
So
said
like I said, like
gratitude to you
we
all.
was up to like 10. We down to
hold on, I can't hear you.
drop in the now. We can just continue the free bill. But yeah, like as far as like unification, our whole thing is like it's not just about wanting the history. Like we gotta like you gotta have that connection, right? And it's a lot of people that have that connection that don't know. You know what I mean? That just don't know. So that's why bringing the information is a good thing. The issue is those that don't know that take it for their benefit, right? Like to do Aboriginal power. It's like, damn, you got nigga face on there, voice on there, and all of this, but you getting paid for
Mhm.
that. And when I comment on the video, you taking down my comment like, damn, I can't comment on my own video. All I said, shit, we need to work together. Hit me up. You want to remove my comment because you know what I was saying. You might as well go ahead and you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, while they sitting up there.
Might as well go ahead. You get 10%, you get 10 cents every view. You come out that bitch with 3,000 views, you got $300 for a video that 3 people put together, why not go ahead and be like, hey, look, you know, I posted it, so let me get 100. Y'all giddy up this 200 shit. You feel me? Or however, you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying, bro? Like,
Nah, I get
I'm
that.
gonna take this 75. Y'all giddy up this 225. You feel me? Like, you get what I'm saying, bro? Sam, Sam,
And it's
Sam.
and it and it's
77,
going
70.
across
But
all platforms.
say
Nephew,
it again.
nep- nephew,
Talk to me.
nephew. This was gonna wind up happening. From what I heard, they had 1,000 people watching that video.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Nah, ain't
They had
nobody in
1,000
that
people
community.
live.
Yeah, 1,000 people live. Now, those same 1,000 people, they know of Wale origins now. They never heard of it before. They never heard of me before. They probably did. I don't know. But either way, they're gonna start trickling over here because you know why? Because you're teaching indigenous information that's dealing with your family. I'm teaching about my family. We're teaching about the Southeast. Nobody isn't teaching that. So you know what's gonna wind up happening? They gonna come and seek your channel. It's just a matter of time.
And
It's
keep
just a
that
matter of
same
time.
energy. Cause I watched the
Right.
video. He said, yeah, 1,000 people, $5 donations. I said, boy, God damn.
Well, you
I
know, he
said,
get
boy,
his
what
limit.
the fuck? I say, boy, ain't no way. I say, bro, I'm doing it because I love to talk to the people, to teach the people. Boy, hey, y'all know about Pa. You like LSU? You know about NIL? Man, I need my name, image, and
Right,
likeness, brother. You feel
Right,
me?
right,
right.
I'm
right,
just saying, cause you feeding your
right,
family off my information when mine need to eat too. That's
right,
simple. It's simple. We're gonna keep it simple. It's not about, oh, you started this because the bread. Nope, wrong. However, you using my shit and making bread, and
right,
you using Pa shit and making bread, and you using Christina's shit and making bread, or you'll come on my channel and use Red Crane name to make some bread. Why you don't put some bread in their pocket? Break bread.
right,
Mhm.
right,
Then like niggas say, hey bro, give me your ID. I'm gonna go make us some money. Oh shit, say less. I need half. Break bread.
right.
So I'm glad it's on there because, like you say, it's people that look, but it's like they looking, but
Oh, you cut out.
he laughed at my jokes and shit. That's cool. That's cute. That's cute. Excuse me. Let's see. Oh wow, perfect. So let's talk about sickle cell in native populations. Like you said, particularly the about it in the Wale.
And
um,
not only sickle cell, but also diabetes.
diabetes, right? What is it? All of these different diseases, uh, high blood pressure, right?
High blood
All
pressure,
of
yeah.
this comes from diet, right? In our case, and I always have to say our case, in the case of the Ikwa'a, when people stopped eating from the water and stopped eating off the lands, they became more anemic. Because their intake of starch, their intakes of different foods lowered their iron, right? When they were eating the clams and the shrimp, Pa on the he on the south coast, on the Gulf Coast. So when they were eating their crawfish or their crayfish, that you know what I'm saying, or all these different fish and clams, and that gives you iron. But when you stop that, you become deficient in that. So that was a cause of people becoming anemic, especially in the southeast, a change in diet. Let's see, and its effectiveness. Okay, now some
And
did now
malaria,
also.
and, ma-
Go ahead.
and if I'm not mistaken, You speaking about the malaria with the mosquitoes? That's what you're speaking about?
I think that's what he's
Hold on.
talking about. Because remember, Matt did a drop where Matt was explaining how sickle cell is like defense. You get what I'm saying? And in ways
Right,
that actually defends your body from other diseases. So Matt did a
right,
whole build on that. He should have been on here. Matt did a whole build.
yeah.
Red Crane on here. I don't know if Cuz can explain. Hey, Cuz, can you explain how being anemic may like be effective against protecting people from mosquitoes? Cause you know I get hit all day, every day, bro. So
Yeah,
people
about
who may have
malaria and
anemia, yeah,
everything.
they may not get
Yeah.
hit at all. So like, you got anything on that, Cuz?
It chills the blood, don't it?
Or he might be cutting. Red Crane, yeah, I don't know. He might be cutting up.
Because because from my investigation dealing with the mosquitoes and everything, them motherfuckers love blood type O because they always stay biting on me.
Fact.
Man,
That same
I
thing my
ain't said it.
auntie done said, my grandma them too. Like I get knots. Like when mosquitoes hit me, I get knots. Like I don't get mosquito
And
bump.
what
I don't
happens
know
to
what a
me?
mosquito bump is.
Yeah, they bite the shit out of me, man. You know,
Lump
like
your
Yeah, I get
ass up.
tore up too. I didn't know it. I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was a blood type thing.
yeah,
Mosquitoes too.
even when they
I'm O
found the
too. Yeah.
even when they found the mosquito from the prehistoric time that was inside of the tree sap that looked like an egg, they
Oh yeah,
actually
yeah.
abstract they actually abstract blood from the mosquito and they said it was O type blood.
Wow. O type, original man. Shit, we need to do a build on the haplogroups and blood types and the migration. Never mind. That's gonna make some people mad.
Yeah, like what's the hablo group for blood type O? If there's anything like that.
They're gonna make some people mad because people gonna start to realize they where they come from or who they when they start like, damn, your blood type is. Oh, you one of them. Oh, oh, you from over there.
Not even because like when they do on DNA tests, it's like oftentimes that's why they say they can't tell place of origin because people move so much. So
Yeah,
it's like,
migration.
yeah, so it'll definitely give you your cousins, but it's like shit. What if somebody in Europe got, you know what I mean, is a haplogroup documented there that actually come up out of somewhere else, or one that's somewhere else that come up out of somewhere else. So like, what I like about the study is that it gives you your closest relatives, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when you find that, you actually can not that you could actually dwell, dive into all of those different periods that you were speaking on for migration. Actually, okay, boom. So my people said they came from over here, and my what's the name is over here, and this, you feel me? And this, okay, boom, boom, boom. This time period, that's the way it put that bit together through science. That's why we do be doing the anthropology work, bro. They be working. Let me see who else. Who else? Who else? Let's see. Yeah, Red Crane ain't on here, so he can't. I wanted bro to answer that.
No, he's on that. That's his own.
Nah, I can't
That's
hear. I
his
can't hear
own.
him though.
Oh,
Let me see. Yeah, I can't hear him. He chose to be muted, so he might be cutting or some shit. Man, I got so many packages to send off. This junk is not even funny. This is not even funny. I'm flooded this weekend. Um, you know what else? Yeah, let me do that. So I'm gonna cut the live. I'm gonna actually start a free bill back probably like 6. I've been on this bit since 10 o'clock. Like, so that's 10. Damn, I really been on here almost a shift, bro.
Yeah.
Cause we came on at 10, hopped off at like 12:40, and I hopped right back on. Let's see. Auntie, Ma, Wachi, Ani Bozy, y'all got any questions about the bill?
No, I just hate that my phone went dead. It went dead,
You know
and I
I'm
was
doing it
like,
again.
no.
You hear me?
Messing around with look, my phone always go dead.
I just
Yes, it
gotta
does,
run. I
and
just gotta run
it's just pitiful. That don't make sense.
Mason back.
Okay.
Hey, my phone be dead messing with y'all too. It's grandma. That's what it
Oh,
is.
Lord.
Yeah, it's grandma.
Hey, but you know what I gotta say
Hey,
about y'all build? Your build is, like I told you, gratitude to you all. And hey,
yo,
thank you. Keep that, hey, keep that energy out
Yeah,
there.
that's been
Keep
good,
that
and it was
energy
fun.
going. That's Tim.
Mhm.
That's
yeah.
Tim.
Yeah, he's been here the whole time.
Yeah.
She said she's sitting in the back of the classroom.
Look, sis.
Mhm.
Look, sis. Look, sis. What I'm planning on doing tomorrow on the I like to ask my nephew, can I do a plug right in? Can I do a plug in right quick?
I ain't even on the laptop. I'm on the phone.
Yeah, I know about I'm asking, can I do a plug in right quick?
What you mean? Oh, go ahead.
Get your plug in.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. He
Yeah,
dropped his commercial.
yeah, drop a commercial. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, on tomorrow on the Southeastern Talking Stick, I'm going to be showing how the federal recognized tribes as a corporation.
Mm.
You know,
Okay.
the title of it is called "The Federal Recognized Lies."
Mm.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
tune
federal
in.
recognized,
I was
recognized lies.
Oh, shit. The federal
mhm.
recognized
Okay.
lives.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
the federal
And
definitely
recognized.
that
tune in.
that's at 6 tomorrow or 7.
6:30, 6:30 my time,
Mm.
7:30 your time.
No, I think
Your
one an
time.
hour behind you, bro. In
Nah,
Oklahoma.
I'm your time. I'm your time.
Hey, who
Oh,
Eastern time? This is what you do. Who Eastern time?
I'm central.
us.
I'm in Oklahoma.
Oh, you in Oklahoma. So you what time it is right now with you is what? Is
We
it
Three
three?
o
central.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's 3
3.
o'clock now. 3:04.
Okay, yeah, that's central. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely
yeah,
tune in.
yeah,
But I thank
yeah.
y'all. I thank y'all, man. Y'all
Nah, for
continue to
sure.
spread the knowledge. And y'all continue to spread that knowledge, man. I thank y'all. I thank you.
So I have a question. Lamont, are you from Oklahoma? Is that where you born and raised?
Yes, yes.
Because you sound like you could be from Cali.
Everybody say that about Oklahoma people, but we gotta.
Okay,
Hey,
because I know I wasn't tripping. I was like, he sounds like he's from Cali.
well, now,
Okay.
hey, bro, I'm an Oklahoma Sooner fan. I'm from Dade County. I'm a Sooner.
Trash.
Boomer. Boomer
Nah,
Sooner.
I ain't gonna. I'm not
You
gonna
you
lie.
you 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 you,
I'm.
you know why they call
I'm
them
a
Sooner Boomers,
cowboy.
right?
Hold on.
Nah,
No.
Yeah, no.
No.
I think I
Give him the
read
history.
I know why
something.
they
Give it
call
to
them
him.
I
boomers.
want to hear
Give
this
it
history.
to him.
Yeah,
Give me
give it
this
to 'em.
history. Please give me this history.
Boomers. I know why they
Give
call
it
them
give it a
boomers.
history, nephew. Give it a
Give him
And
history.
the
then,
history.
and then it's not just the Sooner, it's the fucking Red River rivalry too.
All right, he gonna give you the history.
Okay,
All
give it
right.
to me.
The
Break it
reason
down.
why the reason why they
Break
call
it
them the Sooners, listen,
down.
because
I'm listening.
this also deal with the $5 with the land allotment
$5
because
Indians in the Oklahoma land room.
right because what happened is that
Ah,
because what happened is the United States actually had a lottery. They had a
uh-huh.
lottery for land. That's why they call it
Yeah,
land allotment with the lottery. Okay,
yeah.
so you had people that bought the lottery, but you had people that were like, man,
Breaking
fuck
up.
that lottery. We going out there before that, and that's when they became known as the Sooners because the Sooners made it out there before those who had actually paid for
Yeah,
the
they
allotment.
stuck. They was cheaters. They stuck claim to
That's why
land that
they got
wasn't
the
theirs.
wagon.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bingo.
they start.
That's why they call them
So
the
like,
foolish. That's why they got the wagon and shit.
when the land war
God
happened,
damn.
they
Now
they
you
all
now you
lined
go.
up. They all
Oh,
lined up on the Arkansas state line. They all lined up on the Arkansas state line, and then they literally shot a gun like you would race
Yeah, yeah.
everybody everybody
Right,
that everybody got on their wagons and ran out and to claim their land.
right,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was people that came 3, 4 nights
right.
and weeks before that and came in the night and they would go stake claim on the land and they just would stay hidden until their gun went off and then they would say, "Hey, I'm already here."
And
Right.
were they hunting on that land? Like I know something that I read, like especially in Texas, like when they used to go and hunt like the buffalo, or no, is it the buffalo, bay?
The bison, yeah,
The bison, the
yeah.
bison, and they started to talk about bison were extinct. No,
Nah,
Nah, they don't
we
need
still
to.
got a lot of bison in Oklahoma.
exactly.
We got bison
Ex-
farms. We got areas where bison. We got areas where bison and horses run free together out there in what they call, if you look on the map, we call it the Panhandle, but it used to be
yeah,
called no man. It used to be called no man's land.
no man's land is the panhandle. That's what they call that.
Yeah, yeah, it used to be called no man's land.
Oh, interesting. Uh, okay. Damn, y'all
And
made me not even want to be a Sooner fan no more.
that
God
My
that land
bad.
wasn't even
My
allotted
bad.
to.
damn. No, I
My
never
bad,
said
sis.
that.
My bad. My bad, sis.
Now
But
you
hey,
said
I
Sooner
Damn,
mean,
fan.
bro,
Hey,
don't
they
do
had a good
that to
football
me.
team.
you
They
can be
had
a
a good
Sooner fan.
football
Ain't nothing
team.
wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong
They
with
had a
it.
good football team. That's all.
Oh Lord.
Y'all
But
Oh Lord. So that
I'm a
has
Bama fan
so
though.
it's a lot that has something to do when I mean what was it? Black Wall Street? Wasn't that in Oklahoma?
Yeah, well, that was
When
one.
they go ahead.
It was a couple
It
of
was in
different Black
Tulsa.
Wall Streets, but this is the one that was at. Yeah, I stay in Tulsa. I actually do a lot of
Oh,
work
you
at
stay
on
in
Black Wall
Tulsa,
Street.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, I do a lot of community work with in Tulsa. I'm a part of a coalition. We meet up every Monday and we talk about
Uh-huh.
the community and stuff like that. I've been trying to start petitions to get them to
Yeah.
stop gentrifying my neighborhood and stuff like that. But these so-called black people, they don't care at all.
So you like y'all it's I mean all around the world right now, but it's still a
Black Wall
battle.
Street
It's still a
turning black
battle for
right now.
y'all. It's still a battle for
Yeah,
you all.
yeah, they ain't never going. They ain't gonna give us that. The people that's been fighting for it, the sister, her brother, and then her cousin, that been fighting. Well, one of them passed away, but the sister and her
Uh-huh.
brother, they still living, and they just got denied in the Oklahoma Supreme Court for their reparations for Black Wall Street and the families of.
Oh man.
So they
Damn.
got to start back over. And I don't understand why they got denied because how you get denied and they put up a whole museum. You go into the
Yeah.
museum, they got a whole KKK exhibit
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
with and they tell you the whole story of what happened on Greenwood, how Greenwood
Yep.
Drive,
Yep.
the oil. Now it was a sister pop.
And bro, I'm only
It-
just an Oklahoma fan, but I know what you're talking about. Being an Oklahoma fan, I look up the history of the place.
But
now,
Lamont,
pop.
yeah.
On your status, I can't. It was like 2 weeks ago. On one of your status, when you said the five civilized tribes got some explaining to do. Okay, and then the sister got on there and was like, "Yeah, I need to hear from the Oklahoma people and what happened with Black Wall Street, blah blah blah." And I explained to her,
Yeah.
I say, well, what she don't know is that, like, what a lot of people don't know is out here in Oklahoma, the they also gentrified the tribes. They gentrified those the old towns